Anna Jar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The greatest quarterback of all time has officially called it an NFL career after 22 seasons and 7 Super Bowl championships. Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady on Instagram announced his retirement, said he's always believed the sport of football is an all-in proposition. As difficult as it is for him to write, he's not going to make that competitive commitment anymore. Now it's time to focus his time and energy on other things that acquire his attention. So much to laud Brady about, including his ability to win regardless of his teammates, notes former Patriots cornerback Ty Law.
He won championships without Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, and some of the other great receivers that we know and that we think about when it comes to that position, who usually helps make quarterbacks great. Tom, you could put anybody out there on the field with him, and he's going to find a way to win.
Former Oklahoma quarterback Caleb Williams transferring to USC. He'll be reunited with first-year Trojans coach Lincoln Riley, his former Sooners coach. NBA Nets guard James Harden upgraded to probable tonight against the Suns.
Finding your next great hire can leave you finding yourself pressed for time. That's why Indeed has a built-in interview platform that makes it easy for you to schedule and conduct video interviews right on their site. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane.
Well, happy Tuesday, Jacksonville, Florida, and beyond. I wonder if that guy, sorry I forget his name, still sitting on that chairlift in Big Sky, Montana, with a lot of snow around him and listening.
Oh, jeez.
Have we kept him?
Probably turned it off.
At some point.
No, he wasn't. He was working like
He was working the
right?
chairlift.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, that's
I love
cool,
that
man.
story.
I'm jealous, man. I've been there, but I've been to Big Sky. It's fun.
I have not. I'd love to go.
Yeah, it's a good time.
I wonder what people would say. Better skiing Big Sky or Jackson Hole? Because a lot of people say Jackson Hole's like the top of the list. Now, again, there's Denver and Utah and everybody else, right?
There's Northern California.
The crazy thing is I have not skied. Like, I grew up and I skied in Vermont and New Hampshire a little bit, but never have I gone way out there, like Colorado, Utah. And I skied a decent amount, like not a crazy amount, but it was okay amount. And now I haven't for, gosh, it would hurt so much when I come back because there's nothing like skiing, right? You use muscles that you had no idea you had. And so you hurt like the first time going for that next day. And my gosh, I can only imagine how much I'd hurt right now. Absolutely. But I do want to take the kids out. And when I say I want to take them, I don't want to take them to New Hampshire or Vermont because I've been there selfishly. Okay. I want to go to like Big Sky or Jackson Hole or Colorado.
Take them to Tahoe, Utah. Man. Tahoe is fun,
or
too.
Tahoe, that's great.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, I'm sure they're all great.
No, they all kind of got their own special thing. Like Big Sky, I loved because we went there during spring break in high school and they had like record snowfall.
Oh, really?
So it was like up to my waist and like powder snowboarding, which was really fun.
Nothing like spring break with record snowfall.
Oh, no, it was the best, man. Like I'm glad we made that decision. Well, it's Wisconsin. Spring break is cold regardless, so I might as well go to enjoy some more snow.
That was a plane ride, right?
No, I drove.
You can drive to Big Sky from Wisconsin?
I mean, it's a distance. Yeah,
so it's a pretty good one.
It's a pretty good distance, but yeah, we ended up making that journey, and it was definitely worth it.
All right, that's cool. You went snowboarding at home.
Yeah.
Now, do you have where you go in Wisconsin, but do you want to go like out to Colorado, Utah?
Yeah, so actually I might be going out to Colorado sometime in late March or not early April. We're kind of planning it right now, but going to Steamboat. Okay. Steamboat Springs. So I've never been to Colorado before. I mean, I've been to Colorado, but not snowboarding. So that'll be a cool experience.
All right, good deal.
Yeah.
On a beautiful day in Jacksonville, we're talking about skiing.
Yeah, I know, right?
All because of Roll Call. Where are you listening from today, everybody? I love Roll Call, man. I love the fact when you tell me that you're listening from all over the place. It probably doesn't do anything for our advertising.
Not at all. Actually, probably
not
hurts
advertising all over the place.
Probably
doesn't hurt it.
Well,
by the way, it can't hurt our advertising at the moment. But anyway, I do like listening to where everybody's from and also how they listen to the show or watch the show.
Yeah.
That's always been the fascinating part of this for me is to see how and where it all takes place.
Yeah.
Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Casey Kurtz, another development. Hey, Cody from Atlanta, Georgia. Appreciate it. Another development. Rick Spielman.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty wild, okay? Like, I have not been as locked into social media today. This is where I'm at. I get onto social media, and I've seen the Jags fans, in our community, if you will, and I'm like, Casey, what's fact and what's fiction here? What's opinion? Like, because there's so much out there. Like, I saw stuff like Spielman and Balky and Leftwich and Wilson and Spielman and Peterson and Balky's out and Balky's in and Spielman's just assistant GM and he's executive vice president. I mean, so are we all guessing? Are we guessing? Are we still guessing? And I think we're still guessing. But I think the news part of the day is that we are talking about Spielman as some part of this organization in a capacity that is unknown at the time. It's a front office position, according to Garofalo, who thinks Peterson and Spielman connecting here in Jacksonville is I don't want to say likely to put words in his mouth, but a good chance of happening. Mm-hmm. And does that include Balky? Does it not include Balky? Let me just tell you quick thoughts that ran through my head. One, I was like, okay, Peterson and Spielman, I could see the tie together. I've seen people throw out there like Fangio and Bisaccio, Raiders coach. Mm-hmm. That'd be a heck of a, actually, take all that and take Balky out of the mix. I'm like pretty good, right?
So Bisaccio, he would be the offensive coordinator?
No, he'd be the special teams.
Special teams coach.
Yeah, and then Peterson's the guy.
Do you interview special teams coaches like that?
Well, they might have interviewed for the head coaching job and talked to him about it. Okay. Would you be interested? All this stuff. I mean, maybe that's why the Bisaccio news came to light. You know, maybe that's why the Fangio news came to light last week, right? The Denver stuff, that it wasn't necessary for the head coaching job, but it could be for a job in some capacity.
But I got you. But do you think like it's kind of, and I get it, special teams is 1/3 of the game, but do you find it a little eerie that they be interviewing guys with the note of, hey, let's get this guy for special teams? We don't have a head coach yet.
Well, I think let's just assume they restarted the look. How many more guys can you interview? Well, Bisaccia is out there, and he just did a nice job. So you can interview him for your head coaching job. But then you can also ask, hey, if it doesn't work out, are you interested in being our special teams coordinator too? We would love to have your experience and your knowledge and what you just did in our building. So you can do it right away. But again, we're just throwing stuff here. We're just guessing. So that went through my mind. It's like, okay, you could have a Spielman, Peterson. What else ran through my mind is, could you have Spielman and then be Leftwich and Adrian Wilson that you move on to? Because know this, the last time the Jags did a Leftwich, Adrian Wilson kind of move was Gus Bradley, Doug Marrone. I'm sorry, Gus Bradley, Dave Caldwell. Gus Bradley was a first-time head coach, kind of this up-and-coming guy that some people, even the Philadelphia Eagles, almost named as a coach. Dave Caldwell's this up-and-coming personnel man. And what did Shad learn after his first 4 years? That they were a little green and didn't have enough experience, and that's where some of it went wrong. And that's why they brought in Tom Coughlin, right, to help out Caldwell once Gus was gone. And so could you see a situation where he has these two young men that could be future stars but still might not know everything, and so you bring in somebody like a Spielman to oversee Adrian Wilson as a GM and Byron Leftwich. And so there you have that EVP role of sorts. And so that's what ran through my head right away when I saw the Spielman stuff.
Okay.
I don't know where it's headed. The word on the street right today is Doug Peterson's interviewing for a second time. So this is lining up again, according to Garofalo, like it could be a Spielman-Peterson job in Jacksonville. But where does that leave Trent Baalke is still very much unknown and undetermined at the time.
Well, and then that's the biggest part of this conundrum right now is if you do bring in Spielman, who I would advocate for, I think if you look at his history, I mean, like doing some research on him, there are a couple bad picks. There's Laquan Treadwell, there's Christian Ponder, there's Jeff Gladney. But then, like, the good picks, man, are really good.
Yeah.
I mean, Jefferson,
Stephon
Harrison
Diggs.
Smith, Dalvin Cook, Danielle Hunter, Eric Hendricks. Was he there with Diggs?
He drafted Diggs.
He drafted Diggs? Sure. Okay. Stephon Diggs. So, yeah, there's a lot to like right now with Rick Spielman. I guess the biggest thing going forward is in what capacity do you see him in? Because this was my biggest fear with Doug Peterson, if you choose to go the Doug Peterson route, is by indications, by what people say with Doug Peterson, is he had a falling out with the Eagles organization. And I kind of spoke of this yesterday a little bit. I want to rehash it one more time. I don't want Doug Peterson coming into Jacksonville having to, give ground and say, okay, we can make this work and I'll agree to this. I want Doug Peterson to have a vision. I want Doug Peterson to go, I need this, I need this, I need this. I don't want him to go with Trent Baalke and say, you know what? Yeah, I guess we can kind of come to a compromise and make this work. You don't need compromises right now. You need a coach with a clear vision and a clear leadership and a clear power structure. And I just wonder if the plan is to bring Spielman in some sort of EVP role. You still keep Trent Baalke as your GM, and then you have Doug Peterson as your head coach. I wonder if the chain of command once again gets lost in translation, because we've seen this story play out before, and it doesn't end pretty for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Let me be crystal clear about this, okay? I have never been all in. In fact, I've kind of stuck to my guns here that at the end of the day, that I think Baalke won't be a part of the organization at the end of the day. And I'm so deep into it, I'm not going to waver, okay? I understand what it looks like and where the narratives are out there and all this stuff. But I also will say this, and I think I've been pretty crystal clear, even though some talking around this subject sometimes, it doesn't always look like that. That if I don't care what role you have others in, what you buffer Trent Baalke around, if Trent Baalke is in your building when this process is over, it still deserves a ton of criticism. It can make you feel better that maybe Spielman and Peterson are here to buffer that, right? And you can see some sense in that. But what's happening with Shad Khan, if he keeps Baalke around, is he's not learning from past mistakes. He doesn't have the feel of the building that has been dysfunctional for not just this past year, but for the last 4 years. He does not have the feel for who Baalke really is by calling people inside the building or calling people externally. And I understand these are things that why the fan base has got so anxious about it. But I just don't know if – listen, you could make a lot of people happy if you bring Doug Peterson in here. I think it's a good call. I think it would be a good call. I think he was a prime candidate, should have been a prime candidate. If you end up with your guy at the end of the day that you think can help change your organization around, I think there's – you know what? The rest is kind of water under the bridge. Spielman, I can see some sense in that. At least it's somebody different maybe having the power in the building than a guy like Baalke. But I still don't think you avoid criticism, nor should you. If Trent Baalke is in, I don't care if he's an intern this year. Trent Baalke being in the building signifies two different things. One, you didn't hit the reset button completely. And two, you are okay with a level of dysfunction that has existed in every building that Trent Baalke has worked in over the last 5-6 years of his NFL life. And for a reason, part of the reason he wasn't in the NFL for a couple of years is because of that level of dysfunction. So I think this could end up better than it might have ended up. But it still would not excuse, in my opinion, the criticism of keeping Baalke in any capacity, nor take away from the ridiculous nature of this search, which we all have admitted is, from an optic point of view and a reality point of view, it's just a mess. And again, there are fixes here to the mess. The fixes are you end up with what the fans want, which could be Leftwich and Wilson and Baalke out. You could end up with a pretty decent situation of some kind with Spielman and Peterson. Or you can ultimately end up with Baalke out anyway in some capacity, and that would probably appease everyone if you made me the head coach. But the bottom line is you can still get there where it worked out right and correct, but you're not going to erase the muddy nature of what has now gone into February. Here we are on February 1st as an elongated and clunky search at least.
Yeah, and it's definitely clunky. You know, while we may be on board with the Doug Peterson signing, it doesn't take away from the fact that this is 33 days have gone by since his first interview?
34.
34 days have gone by since his first interview. So that's not a really good look. All right. I mean, does it matter in the long run if you get your guy? I guess not. But from the optics standpoint, that doesn't look good. I think from, Trent Baalke, and I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be, a clean cut. They get rid of him. I find it hard to believe they're just going to interview, Rick Spielman and then just hand him Trent Baalke's job. Like, I don't see that really happening. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't see that happening. I don't see Trent Baalke going, well, you know what? Maybe GM's not for me. Go and give me a smaller role. Like, that's not going to happen either. So regardless if it's Doug Peterson, regardless of who the next head coach is going to be, I just feel like Trent Baalke is going to be tied to this somehow unless Shad Khan gets to the desperate point where it's like, okay, this was a mistake. Bringing Trent Baalke along this long has not paid dividends. I got to let you go.
Yeah.
Now,
which could happen.
And you know what? And it very well might happen. Like that's probably the right move to make.
Yeah. Well, that's a move I've been banking on the whole time. Yeah.
Well, for sure. But the fact that we're in the month of February right now and that's not been the case, the fact that the Senior Bowl is going on right now and that's not the case, that from Shad Khan's standpoint, that should never have happened. But whatever the reason, whether you're stubborn, whether you have a different vision than everybody else like that are experts, I guess, foresee, that may be on you. But yeah, the fact that it's been hashed out this long right now, and the fact that we might be talking about Spielman coming in some other sort of role set aside from a general manager, and now you have the chain of command going three ways again. I just don't know how that's going to correlate when you got a guy in Doug Peterson who I think, he has an ego. He wants to do things his way. And you don't want that to get blended with a guy in Trent Baalke who you don't get along with.
I've heard a bunch of different things on the Peterson front. Again, I will tell you this on Peterson. I know you have some concern over how it ended in Philly. Now, could that be a learning point? Could that be part of the reason why we want somebody like Peterson in, because they've been through the battles before and they've learned from some of their mistakes potentially, a la Josh McDaniels getting the job with the Vegas, and he's admitted to some of the mistakes he made. So that certainly is one of the reasons why I like the idea of the Jim Caldwells and the Doug Petersons. They've learned from past experiences and messed up or made mistakes, but also have done pretty well, like at times too. So they know what works.
Yeah.
And I've heard so many things about Peterson over the last month, guys, that he's really a good dude, like a lot of fun to be around, good person to work for. Employees enjoy working with him. But then you have that story of the angst between, was that more Howie Roseman? Was it, I heard something last night about that he went to bat for Carson Wentz. And
Doug Peterson went to bat for Carson Wentz?
I thought that was kind of an odd thing, but I just heard it. That was Wentz, well, we got to remember now, they didn't keep Wentz. In the long haul, they stuck him out for one more year. They did, and then they end up getting rid of him. So was Roseman as big on Wentz as everybody says? Well,
I mean, they got Hurts though. After they got rid of Peterson,
and they decided to move on from Wentz after that. But did anybody in the building? But maybe was it a timing thing? Where were they on the Wentz clock?
Go ask Sidney Jones how he feels about Doug Peterson and that whole ordeal when Doug Peterson challenged him because of if he was hurt or not, and Sidney Jones lashed out to that. Yeah. So, I get it. That's cool if people in Philadelphia, whether it's the media or somebody says Doug Peterson's a great guy, that's fine. But what do his former teammates say about him?
Yeah.
What does the locker room say about him? Because some would say that he might have lost the locker room before he got fired.
Yeah.
So some would say that he maybe didn't get along with the front office before he got fired, and that's why he's out of a job right now.
But that a little bit is a part of the NFL, right? I mean, you're going to find just as many guys that probably – I don't think you were a big fan of how everything went down in Chicago with the John Fox was the head coach at the time, right? I'm not sure if you're a big fan of John Fox or not, but my point being you might have had a bad experience. Somebody else might have these great experiences. And so I think that comes with the territory of every coach, right?
Yeah, but I think the great coaches don't let it get out.
Well, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about years later it might get out.
I mean, sure.
So I don't know. I'm just surprised, I guess, that you're okay with Peterson, but you're red flagged on Peterson. So, you really feel concerned about Peterson and his ability to not have dysfunction. Because if you have a problem with that, that's a major red flag. See, I've asked a lot about that. I don't feel like that's happening. That's not the temperature I'm getting with Peterson. But if Peterson's going to help bring dysfunction back into the facility. That's what we're trying to get rid of around here. That's why everybody wants Balky out. That's why everybody wants this new blood in and reset the thing. And so Peterson's interesting on that front. You better vet out that you're not going to have dysfunction with Doug Peterson.
No, absolutely. But it's like I said, I'm a fan of Doug Peterson if things are set up for him to succeed. I think if he has to answer to other people and there's a confusion of the chain of command, then no, I'm not really a fan of Doug Peterson. I'm not sure how he's going to respond to that. I think if Doug Peterson comes in with a vision, he's got the quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, then yeah, it can definitely work out. I'm just saying the red flag for me of Doug Peterson is working for a front office or management that don't see eye to eye with him, and then he lashes out in response. Yeah. That's my concern. That's my red flag.
Yeah, and I guess we just don't know that until it happens. Like, well, I don't know how you predict that.
I would predict that if Trent Baalke still is retained in the general manager position and Doug Peterson, for whatever reason, is forced to take the head coaching job, then yeah, I would be a little concerned.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think a lot of people would feel good about Peterson being the guy. I do think the structure of that really all revolves around if Baalke's in or not. And part of that's because of the angst about Baalke, and rightfully so. And some of it's about how maybe a Peterson or the structure would work. Because let's be honest, the last time we had this structure, it didn't work well. But we did have a guy that was not a front office guy being the EVP, you know? So for everybody that wants like Jim Caldwell to be the EVP, like that would be a new job for him. Well, that's what they asked Tom Coughlin to do. They asked Tom Coughlin to be like, dude, stay off the sidelines. You got to be like the overall figure here. That's a new role. That was a role that he had never been accustomed to in 40 years of doing football. Well, and obviously, at times probably did okay with it, but at other times probably didn't.
Well, and ironically, and this is the thing too as well, I mean, Doug Peterson, is he a player's coach? Yeah, he comes from the Andy Reid tree. But he's still a guy who runs very hard practices.
That's what I've heard.
You remember, like, I mean, with the whole Malcolm Jenkins thing, who was kind of like the mouthpiece of the Philadelphia Eagles. He even came out and said he wished they had more input of how practices were ran because it was kind of the Doug Peterson show and they didn't have input and they were struggling. You know, I mean, that was, 2019 that would have been when the season where he ended up eventually getting fired?
Yeah. Or was it 20? Was it 20? I think it was 20.
It might have been 20, okay. So, you know, there is some concerns, but once again, I think if Peterson has it his way and he doesn't have to bounce ideas off people, then it's going to be okay. I think if he has to bounce ideas off of Baalke and the chain of command is messed up, then it could be just another rerun of what we saw with Doug Peterson, Tom Coughlin, and Dave Caldwell.
Yeah, well, we'll see how they shape up. If either guy even ends up in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
That's certainly not a slam dunk as of now. I saw the Mark Long report out of the Senior Bowl. I found that interesting because it's not the first time I've heard that about GMs. I'm not sure if you were aware of it on Trent Baalke about being on the practice field type stuff.
He's out there?
No, I'll fill you in.
Okay.
And just talk about that a little bit because the funny thing is about it, we don't really talk about Baalke that much. I mean, we talk about Baalke just being in or out. But we don't talk some of the why of what bothers people about Baalke includes something that Mark from the AP tweeted today. Now, how factual it is, I mean, I don't know. Are we just hearing things? Mark's usually pretty good, though. So we'll talk about that. Plus, Tom Brady, speaking of facts, I guess it's real.
Yep.
He made it that way. What does it mean? I want to ask you today, too. You played against Tom, and you prepped against Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. And I know we've talked a little bit about it in the past, but that's a lens that very few people have, at least with a microphone in front of them. So what was it like to prepare against Tom Brady and put a bow on Tom Brady's retirement? We'll talk about that coming up as well. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Who knows? Maybe we'll get another nugget of knowledge before the end of the show today on a Tuesday. We'll be back. Action Sports Jax, ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly to mostly sunny and mild today. The afternoon high in the upper 60s, cooler at the beaches, dropping into the 40s tonight, and partly sunny and mild tomorrow. Your Wednesday high 70 to 75. I'm TV meteorologist Mike Burrish. Join me today beginning at 5 p.m. on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Get the guaranteed lowest price at the only locally owned diamond store in the St. John's Town Center.
Voted best gift of the year for golfers by the ESPN 690 Golf Enthusiast Review Board. Want to make the golfer in your life love you even more? Order the 2022 ESPN Dream 18 card for just $69. Big discounts on golf all year. Golf courses are raising their rates with the recent boom. The Dream 18 card has even more value now. For less than dinner for two at your favorite upscale restaurant, you will receive tremendously discounted rounds at some of the area's best golf courses. Golf Club at Southampton, St. John's Golf and Country Club, Hidden Hills, Osprey Cove, the Yards added this year, Amelia River Golf Club, Eagle Landing, Fleming Island Golf Club, and Queens Harbor Yacht and Country Club. Plus, you'll receive a free smoothie from Smoothie King, a free hat from Dome Hats, a free shirt at Baker's Sports, and a discount on a purchase at Palm Beach Autographs. Play 2 rounds of golf, and the card pays for itself. $69, that's it. Some of the proceeds go to the Dream 18 charity as well. Buy the card at ActionSportsJaxDream18.com. Supplies are limited. Go to ActionSportsJaxDream18.com.
Start your new year in a like-new car from the pre-owned experts at Arlington Toyota. Arlington Pre-Owned has over 300 used available. All makes, all models. Some even same model year. You've got to see it. And when it comes to buying with confidence, just leave it to my friends at Arlington. Their 30-day exchange program comes with your purchase. That's 30 days to love your pre-owned purchase or exchange it. Add some major excitement to your new year and an amazing new ride from Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online anytime at ArlingtonToyota.com.
Get revved up for the Jacksonville International Auto Show because it's bigger than ever. We're adding an extra day. The show opens Thursday, February 17th at the Prime Osborne Convention Center. With inventory tight across Florida, it's your unique chance to experience the latest models, new EVs, crossovers, SUVs, and trucks, rare exotics, remarkable classics. Tickets on Thursday the 17th are half price. Bring a food donation for Feeding Northeast Florida. Free parking from ViStar Credit Union, discount coupons at gate gas stations. Get your tickets now at jaxautoshow.com.
It doesn't matter how old we are, we all need love and support. Yet, teenagers who end up in foster care have a much harder time finding it, as nearly 82% of current foster families are home to kids 12 or younger. The good news is, you can positively impact a teen's life by becoming a foster parent with help from Family Support Services of North Florida. You don't have to be married or own a home. You provide patience, love, and understanding, and Family Support Services will offer specialized training, resources, and a community of support. So if you've ever felt a calling to help youth, please take this opportunity to explore becoming a foster parent to a teen through Family Support Services. Teenagers may no longer be little, but they still need lots of love. Take the next step by visiting foster-now.org. That's foster-now.org.
Men, when you're in the mood for love, but you have ED or PE and those little blue pills haven't worked, here's a message from Prime Men's Medical Center.
I'm Dr. Rabinski. If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down, Prime Men's Medical Center offers custom-blended medications. Men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, and it's affordable.
Call 904-664-8217. We guarantee you'll see results on your first visit or you pay nothing. Call 904-664-8217.
Got a party of 10 coming in, and we need to flip those 2 tables.
Leah's restaurant is fully booked night after night.
Section 3 is still behind.
She no longer has reservations about finally finding a hostess.
Why doesn't 23 have menus? Oh, because they're in my hand.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Millions of people use Zoom Phone, the innovative and feature-rich cloud phone system for businesses of any size. Zoom Phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, or desk phone. And because every call is important to your business, Zoom Phone was built with reliability in mind, using geographic redundancy to keep your communications online. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Visit zoom.com/phone system. Zoom. How the world connects.
Join ESPN 690 on March 5th for the Gate River Run. Registration for the 15K, 5K for charity, Junior River Run, and the Brooks Rehabilitation Mile Challenge is now open at GateRiverRun.com. Training information is available on the website. See you at the starting line.
We're going to take it day by day.
Look, we're not going to make any predictions, and I wouldn't do that to Daniel or really any player. I don't think that's fair to compare him to another guy that I was working with. You know, he's himself. We're going to find out what he does well. We're going to try to implement a system that suits him, and then it's our job to bring pieces in that help him to be the best version of himself and the best quarterback for us. He's got the right mindset. He's got good size. There's a lot of things to like about Daniel, and we'll just take it one day at a time. We'll work with him. We'll help him get better. We'll help him be a better leader. We'll help him be everything. You know, that's our job as a coaching staff and as an organization. It takes everybody.
That's Brian Daboll, introduced as the New York Giants head coach, and stands by Daniel Jones for now. It's a really interesting look. You know, again, this is just an outside perspective, and that can be dangerous, even though it feels like we're all on the outside of this search locally.
Yeah.
So, what you really know and don't know, I guess. But on the outside looking in, I find it interesting for Daboll to take the Giants job. He's working with Joe Shane. I get it. Obviously, he knows him. Mm-hmm. There are some things to like, from Saquon Barkley, if he can stay healthy, to, you know, does he feel like he can save Daniel Jones? Or in his mind, is it like, this is not that risky? Because if I don't have Daniel Jones, we'll just go get some. Like, if next year, in year one, it doesn't work out with Daniel Jones, now we know. And so now I get another couple of years as we get our next guy. You know what I mean? So that actually, like, I've got this window of time because of it. And I just think of a little bit like the Matt Rule situation, where Matt Rule has come in and he still can't find his quarterback. And now he's been through it a couple of different ways over the first few years. And I'm just not sure they'll ever take off, because until they get that guy, I'm not sure Matt Rule's going to deliver. Now, he got a long contract, so that helps Matt Rule in Carolina. I'm not sure how long Daboll's contract is, but Daboll's going to be under immense pressure to get good play out of that offense, because he's an offensive guy. He's a QB whisperer, so to speak, with Josh Allen, and you're in the New York market to begin with. So the patience has run out already, much like it has in other markets too. But so it's going to be fascinating to watch how Daboll viewed that, because there are other, if he could have wedged himself into other opportunities, even maybe promoted himself or had somebody promote him for this job with Trevor, or Miami's job, which he was interviewing with Tua, you might be able to say that was a better chance for him to succeed.
I mean, at the end of the day, it just comes down to what you're comfortable with. And I think, you know, Daboll is comfortable with Joe Shane because they know each other. Like, that goes a long way in the GM-head coach relationship. If you have a GM who knows exactly what kind of guy you're looking for, exactly what kind of offense you're running, exactly what kind of player makes up a Daboll-type player, well, then that helps you out in the long run. And I also think in terms of draft capital, New York was very enticing. You know, whether you want to use that draft capital for rookies, or you want to use that draft capital, maybe get a different quarterback in terms of like a Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson. We'll see how that whole thing plays out. But there are options there. So I just think, you know, Daboll took the opportunity where it was like, hey, I know the GM. We have a good rapport. We can win some ball games together. Daniel Jones, we'll see. You know, I mean, there are, and I say this very loosely, there are some similar characteristics between him and Josh Allen in terms of Daniel Jones. A little bit in terms of, you know, their dual threat. Allen obviously has advantage in the arm strength, but, you know, you can kind of see maybe Daniel Jones being a Josh Allen light and running some of the offense that Daboll can run. That's great. Also, you can see a guy like maybe Russell Wilson coming in and running like that Daboll offense. So I just think in terms of capital, in terms of the GM, you know who he is, big market. I think it was a pretty easy decision for Daboll.
It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how much rope they give him, or if he can fix Daniel Jones. You know, because then if he fixes Daniel Jones, he becomes like the modern day QB whisperer. What he did with Josh Allen, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then to take them from where they were to where they potentially are or going. And I'm not saying Daniel Jones has to be an MVP, but if they make him into a quarterback that now you respect a little bit.
I mean, he's gonna have to have an MVP type year for me to get my respect back. Oh yeah, because I mean, of all the bad, you think I'm just gonna forget about you over one decent season?
One trip over the 12-yard line. It's unbelievable.
This is a culmination of years and years of just mediocreness that's a word at its best. So no, one good year from Daniel Jones won't make me forget about, I don't know what, the 4 years that we had to go, 3 years we had to go through with him.
Hey, Mark Long from the AP. obviously covers the Jags, said this today. Rumor at the Senior Bowl, Jags GM Trent Baalke was looking, maybe even tampering, to hire someone to take on an assistant GM role to handle day-to-day operations, which would allow Baalke, wait for it, to be more hands-on with players on the field.
So he's tampering now?
Well, forget about the tampering part. I want to
how
concentrate.
can I mean, that's illegal. You don't say we're tampering.
Well, by the way, I'm actually surprised if he has. The weird thing about Baalke is not only he doesn't have anybody to endorse him these days. Like nobody in 40 days has endorsed Trent Baalke to be the GM and been like, you know how they send those quotes? Well, you know when you get a job and you have like those quotes come out like from past coaches or players and be like, oh, I think this guy's going to be a great. Sure. I think like Brady just did it for McDaniels essentially. Like he's an excellent coach. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, there's nobody giving us a quote about Trent Baalke.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Well, there's also not many people though willing to like drag him through the mud.
Trent Baalke?
Well, and pull him down from past experiences.
Oh.
Now, I think who was it today? One of the players that surfaced, was it what was his name? He spoke of an experience of like the cover 3 defense where he had come in and said, you're not playing cover 3 right. He said he waited 8 years to tell this story about Trent Baalke. Was it Jimmy Ward? Is that who it was? Jimmy Ward? And so, yeah, that floated around today. And then you have this coming out of the Senior Bowl now where hands-on with the players on the field, which is something, by the way, over the last 6 weeks and more, 6 months and with Baalke around, we've heard. Like, I've never heard of that before Baalke, where, like, GMs, or at least this GM, likes to be involved in, like, practice drills and stuff and thinks, like, he's running part of the practice.
Yeah.
And that's there are some stories out there.
Rumors.
That I've been told too. Stories out there that is the book on Trent. That's some of the reason that some people are like, what the hell are you doing, man? Go do your job. Like, be the GM. You don't know that much about – you're not in there all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that Mark tweeted that today, and that's the story coming out of Mobile where, by the way, there are a lot of football coaches that would be bothered by such a story or such a thing, that the GM is out there trying to run drills and tell me what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless if that's true or a fabrication, no, that's not going to happen. Like, you're a GM, you're not going to run practice?
Yeah, have you experienced that ever?
No, doesn't happen.
That's why I thought it was so odd that I've seen
Bill
this.
Belichick, obviously, because he's Bill Belichick.
But
yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
I went to a lot of practices in Jacksonville, and I saw Shaq Harris, by the way, who played.
Yeah.
I saw Gene Smith. And I saw Dave Caldwell, and I never once saw them participate in a drill, like a coaching drill.
Yeah, no.
So I've heard that about Baalke, and I'm like, is that real?
So has he done this before?
Yeah, I think that's in past stops. Like
in San Francisco, he's done it. Huh.
Yeah. And so, like, he thinks, because he played, where did he play? Bemidji State or something.
Yeah.
And, like,
well, actually, I got recruited by them, by the way, in high school.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's a D3 school? D3
no, they're D2.
D2 school. Okay.
D2. Yeah.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Beavers, I think.
So anyway, like, now you hear what Jimmy Ward came out and said today, and I know that was floating around social media, and to be honest with you, I don't know where it originated. But, like, now we're starting to see some stories, and I guess my point of this is I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen a little bit more come out of the woodwork with all the Baalke talk of somebody at the very least being like, yeah, wait until you hear this, and wait until you hear this, and wait until you hear this. And if there was enough of that, does that get back to the Shad Khan embarrassment, dysfunction, noise, whatever you want to say about it, to at least maybe that registers in his mind? I'm just surprised we haven't seen more people hammering Baalke because we don't see anybody coming to his defense. And so the opposite of that would be like, let me tell you why this guy you don't want to work with. Let me tell you why this guy's had 5 different coaches in 5 years. Let me tell you why this guy was out of the NFL for a couple years.
I just think that you don't see people making a point to try to bring him down or speak out against him. Is because nobody envisions this guy being a GM for the Jaguars this year.
Yeah.
So, like,
it's hard to fathom, right?
Yeah, it's super hard to fathom. You know, like, yeah, you hear the rumors and all this stuff, and you see what's happening right now. We're in the month of February, and he's still, on this team. But I think even, like, past players, past peers, like, I think you speak out against something where if you have to in terms of, because you can't believe what's happening. Now, I can't believe we're to this point right now and we're still talking about Trent Baalke, but it is what it is. But, like, I think once if he ever gets announced as, hey, he's come back for another year, then you're going to see the blowback, and you're going to, because no one, like, yes, people follow the Jacksonville Jaguars because of all the bad optics, but, like, I don't think anybody's really entwined with it, like former players and such. But now they're starting to be, just because we're in February and we're still talking about this whole thing.
Yeah, and listen, a little bit of it is like, to me, it comes down to trust, right? And that's what dysfunction is part of. You either trust people or you don't. And if you don't trust people, you have a level of dysfunction to begin with, and you open the door up for more dysfunction. I think it's pretty crystal clear around the NFL, at least from stories we've heard for, again, this goes back a while now, but even in the building, currently, outside the building, that people don't trust Trent Baalke, and no matter what kind of personnel guy you think he is or he isn't, no matter what kind of guy you think he is or he isn't, if you don't trust somebody, that's where dysfunction stems. And that's a danger zone. But again, I mean, we've said this all the way back since, December, that if you call two people inside that building that worked there the last year, and you call two people outside the building, you'd probably hear a similar story about Trent Baalke. And so I guess that's what, to your point, makes it unfathomable that we're still here.
I mean, I don't foresee him running practices next year or this up-and-coming season. Yeah. I just don't see that.
I don't either. But I just thought that was an interesting report from Mark. That's how we got on the topic. That's obvious. If that's being discussed at the Senior Bowl.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, he didn't say that. Right. I mean, listen, I can tell you this. We've been at the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl is a part coaches convention, right, and scouts convention and player personnel convention, and so there's a lot of things that get talked about. Sometimes it's over a beer at.
Are the Jaguars even there or not?
They are. Their scouts are there, but I have not heard that.
Scouting for an offense that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
Scouting for a defense that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 4 teams are in that a little bit in that boat, I guess, or five, right? But they all have GMs, I think.
No, it's a plus.
Does every job open right now have GM in place? Well, so does the Jags.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Tom Brady retired. What does it mean? And I think we know his place in history, don't we? We'll be back. ESPN 690 rolls on after this.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
What's up, Jacksonville? I'm Casey Kurtz. The Edward Waters University men's basketball team picked up a 113-71 win over Miami Middletown yesterday night in Ohio. EWU will be back in action tomorrow as they take on Wilberforce University at 7:30 p.m. Sticking with college basketball, the Florida State men's basketball team will be back in action tomorrow night as well as they take on Clemson. Coverage of that game will start at 6:30 right here on ESPN 690. In baseball, the 2021 American League Most Valuable Player Shohei Ohtani will be the first Asian athlete to be featured on the cover of a video game in the United States, centered around the 4 major sports when he's on the cover of MLB The Show 22. And coming up today after Action Sports Jax is college basketball, as North Carolina will travel to the state of Kentucky to take on Louisville. This Sports Center update sponsored by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge.
Hey, team, it's a full house. We got to pick up the pace.
At Hank's Restaurant, the line goes around the block.
Is this for 12? Okay, I need the truffle oil drizzle.
What he needs is another line cook.
Oh, man. Are the quail breasts still in the sous vide? Dave, can you keep an eye on that, please?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can save just by being you. DriveWise in the Allstate mobile app gives you personalized driving feedback, and by adding it to your policy, you can save for driving safe just by being yourself. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Now is the time to get an estimate on replacement windows. American Window Products of Jacksonville is a high-volume dealer offering a huge selection of products to keep your costs low. New windows from American Window Products can lower your energy costs and increase your curb appeal and security, all without breaking the bank. Call American Window Products for a free estimate at 904-667-0873 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
Voted best gift of the year for golfers by the ESPN 690 Golf Enthusiast Review Board. Want to make the golfer in your life love you even more? Order the 2022 ESPN Dream 18 card for just $69. Big discounts on golf all year. Golf courses are raising their rates with the recent boom. The Dream 18 card has even more value now. For less than dinner for two at your favorite upscale restaurant, you will receive tremendously discounted rounds at some of the area's best golf courses. Golf Club at Southampton, St. John's Golf and Country Club, Hidden Hills, Osprey Cove, the Yards added this year, Amelia River Golf Club, Eagle Landing, Fleming Island Golf Club, and Queens Harbor Yacht and Country Club. Plus, you'll receive a free smoothie from Smoothie King, a free hat from Dome Hats, a free shirt at Baker's Sports, and a discount on a purchase at Palm Beach Autographs. Play 2 rounds of golf, and the card pays for itself. $69, that's it. Some of the proceeds go to the Dream 18 charity as well. Buy the card at Action Sports Jax, Dream18.com. Supplies are limited. Go to Action Sports Jax, Dream18.com.
Hey, boss. Did you hear the latest about the ding-dong doorbell cameras?
Whoa. First of all, let me just say that as a crook, I'm a big fan of the ding-dong doorbell cameras.
Me too. It means no safe touch security.
Exactly. So what happened with our old buddies at Triple D?
So the ding-dong doorbell cameras rely on the internet, right? Well, the parent company just had their 3rd outage in a month.
Doesn't that make the ding-dong doorbell camera useless or something?
Not just that. All kinds of apps in people's houses went haywire, websites were down. People are fed up.
It's one thing after another with that company. Spying on customers, selling personal information, sharing people's internet. Now this?
It's a head-scratcher, boss. If folks had safe-touch security, they wouldn't have to worry about any of that.
Which is another reason we have the Crooks R Us golden rule. Stay away from safe-touch houses. Like Superman's kryptonite.
Receive free equipment and free installation with monitoring agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Call 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
On average, an artificial limb for a child starts at $5,000, and the first prosthetic for an adult can cost up to $50,000, making it nearly impossible for disabled children or veterans to afford the limb they need. At Life Giving Limbs, we cover the cost of these prosthetics, giving recipients a chance at receiving a new limb and a new start on life. Please help by donating now. Visit lifegivinglimbs.com or call 469-601-8523.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7, with supplies and solutions for every industry, and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I think there is an element of closure also in having gone back to New England one more time and having faced Belichick and having done that. I think an inject truth serum kind of moment, that game will be one of the most memorable of his life in its own unique way. That's a man who played in 10 Super Bowls. I think that there was an element of closure that came from him playing there this year.
That is Mike Greenberg here on ESPN 690 earlier in the day. Tom Brady retires, makes it official. Hey, Casey, I'm going to send you a picture. You might not be able to put it up in this segment, and this will be spontaneous, so I know you don't know anything about it. So you're probably rolling your eyes, even though I'm not looking at you right now. Maybe. He likes to be emailed instead. Better quality.
Oh, for the pictures?
Is my guess.
Oh, for the pictures?
Yeah.
Dang, okay.
So we won't get to, I'm not sure we'll see the picture now, but we will eventually. And I want you guys to try to identify something in the picture. But anyway, let's talk about Brady.
Okay.
So at least a salute to the business, which has been a tough couple of weeks.
Yeah.
From a reporting standpoint, in a lot of different respects.
Yeah.
That Schefter and Darlington were correct.
What do you mean a salute to the business?
Well, because at least they were right and not wrong.
Eventually they were right, yeah.
But they were right. He was retiring.
Yeah, but we had to wait. Okay, so if Leftwich signs, is Dilla right?
Yeah, eventually.
Okay.
I guess. I mean, it depends how you look at it.
Okay.
I mean, this was 2 days later on an NFL weekend. You can understand why, like, Brady didn't want to put it out there.
I mean, I think Brady, like you said, wanted to control his own narrative.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But, I mean like, if it was like...
I would have waited months.
Even more.
Oh, yeah. Let him sweat.
So, yeah, I think they were right, obviously. Okay. Like, they got wind of it, and it was happening, and it's just part of their job. I mean, whether you control the narrative or not, I don't know who would have let it out so tight-circled of Brady. I mean, how many people do you think he even had told at that time? Like 3 or 4? Like, he had not told the Jaguars. I'm sorry, it was the Bucs.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But bottom line is he retires. Mm-hmm. And now you start talking legacy, and we already know greatest of all time. It's a weird story because to me it's like, what's there to debate? There's nothing to debate, right? I mean, there's nothing to really have a big conversation about. He's the greatest of all time. It's indisputable. Is he more the greatest of all time in his sport than anybody else?
Are you talking about all sports?
Yeah. Like Michael Jordan, it feels
is Michael Jordan.
In your mind he is, but there are plenty of people in this era that will give LeBron, at least make the argument for LeBron. I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying they'll try to make the argument. Yeah. There's nobody right now that will make the argument, even from yesteryear, that Joe Montana is the greatest of all time after what they just saw out of Brady. Like, there are Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods debates.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure. So no, Michael Jordan's the best of all time.
Like,
greatest, GOAT.
I think again, you're not leveling with me here.
I'm leveling with you perfectly. Michael Jordan, when he went to a championship, didn't lose. Tom Brady lost to Eli Manning twice. So, yeah.
Okay,
Jordan,
Tom went
GOAT.
to 10 of them.
Okay, and he lost. Jordan never lost. GOAT.
Casey, I don't know if we've ever asked you this. Like, where are you on? Are you like, and it's okay if you are, by the way, like Michael Jordan, by far the greatest of all time, untouchable. In your mind, LeBron, who you grew up watching, can he get there?
I don't really. I lean towards Michael Jordan, I think, because we're from Indiana. So, like, my dad always talked about Michael Jordan, and I never really liked LeBron. So I think I lean that route, but I don't really think about it. But in the one time, I actually understand what you're saying right here. Like, there's a debate to be made in other sports, but there's nobody to debate Brady with, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I actually think most people, and again, this is all subjective stuff, but I'd say most people would say, like, Babe Ruth is the best player of all time in baseball. Like, I don't think many people debate others. Like, Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, they're home run kings. But for what Babe Ruth did and we never even watched him, yet we know Babe Ruth is like the best player of all time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't seem like there's a lot of debate in baseball over this topic. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I just think that's how much that shows you how much it's very hard for a modern day athlete to be considered the greatest of all time, because you always have the old heads, if you will, that want to stand up for their guy. Yeah. Like, listen, I think Tiger Woods is the best golfer of all time. Mm-hmm. But I didn't grow up in the heyday of Jack Nicklaus, and I know that Jack Nicklaus has more majors. But I also don't think that's the only mark of the greatest golfer of all time.
Yeah.
But again, we would have that debate because there are people that grew up in the 60s and 70s and also have that note of the major championships that would say, oh, no, Brent, not so fast. Look. And that would be a good debate. It's a fair debate. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really hard to do that in the modern day.
How many MVPs did Tom Brady win?
I think he was just a 3-time MVP, but a 5-time Super Bowl MVP. I think is the case. Yeah, I think he's 5-time Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, Michael Jordan was a 6-time NBA Finals MVP and a 5-time NBA MVP. But, that's just me, though.
Well, I know that's
just just my. I think Jordan's the GOAT, but that's just.
Well, I do too.
So you think he's the GOAT over Brady, or not?
No, I just think I was trying to do relative to each sport.
Oh, each sport.
Would you have a debate?
Yeah. So then you got Jordan, you got Brady, you got Gretzky.
Yeah. That's
Babe Ruth,
Gretzky,
maybe,
by the way, is another one that really doesn't get argued much.
Yeah.
If to the context of my argument.
Probably should, but
yeah. But
unfortunately,
right?
It's hockey.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
I mean, I'm the biggest Gretzky fan ever. I wore 99 when I was playing hockey.
I want you to look at this picture. And what do you see on the feeds? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, if you're looking.
All right, let me go ahead and get off Reddit here real quick. Looking at some stuff.
Know where all those hot takes come from.
Knew it. Yeah, there was a new Attack on Titan coming out. Had to check to see what the spoilers. What do I? Oh yeah, what's up, man?
What?
I see you behind Brady.
You see it?
Yeah.
I told you that story before, so you knew what to look for.
Yeah, I see you, man.
You see it, Casey?
Now that he said it, I didn't see it.
You didn't see it? This actually ran on Sports Center the other night. Or the other day, and I'm like, Ty, let me show you this.
So what?
This is my claim to fame with Brady.
Give some context here, please.
Okay, so I'm working in Providence at the time, and I'm like the third guy in Providence, which means you do the camera, you do producing, you do some reporting. And so the sports director and I went to the Super Bowl, went on that whole run to Pittsburgh, and then to the Super Bowl with the Patriots. So this is Brady's coming out party, and Belichick's coming out party. And this was down in New Orleans. And so at the time now, you could have two people. We were the secondary market in Providence, but you could have two people shoot the game.
Okay.
And so I was like the sideline guy. There was somebody else shooting highlights. And so, turns out I end up right behind Brady in this picture. And you know what he's doing right here?
He said, I'm going to Disneyland.
I'm going to Disney World.
Disney World, sorry.
Yeah. And so I'm right behind him when all this is happening. Now, there's a great inside story here if you know the business of shooting shooting in general, right, with the camera. And this has never been my forte.
Okay.
So I'm shooting the game, and where I had to shoot from, there's something called an extender on your camera.
Okay.
So basically, you flip this thing down, and it really zooms in.
Okay.
Okay? Like, you can get a lot further. Now, some cameras have it, some don't.
Now, is Tom Brady 7 feet tall, and you're like 5 feet tall?
Sure looks like it. But so there's an extender on the camera, and so during the game and at the end, I'm using that to get like Vinatieri kicking the winner to beat the Rams.
Okay.
Because it's kind of far away. Well, me being the novice, I'm like 23 here, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of experience. I never take the extender off. Which means I'm like, why is everybody so close to me? Like, it never hits me, right? I'm like, holy cow, like, everybody's in my face. Like, I can see, every freckle on Brady's face here, the confetti's falling down, and it's like all over the camera lens. And I realized at the end of it, just right at the end, I'm like, oh, you dumbass, the thing's still on. The extender's still on. So if you ever see like all my video from this, which probably is in the archives at WPRI and Channel 12 back in Providence, Rhode Island, everything is just like super zoomed in.
Was it usable or not? Or did they not
some
even?
Parts,
okay.
Some parts.
Did you get in trouble for that?
No.
Okay.
They probably didn't.
No one's trying to hold you accountable? Okay, that's fine.
No.
No one's holding you accountable?
But anyway, that's
awesome, man.
I made the commercial. That's me.
On ESPN right there.
Yeah, that's young.
In the flesh.
Young Brent.
Did you did you kind of nod at him or anything? Like, did you say what's up? Nothing. No, I mean, there's a lot of chaos going on.
By the way, you got to remember now, this is Tom Brady, who still looks like the guy drafted out of Michigan.
Yeah.
Who people are like, he can't throw the deep ball really well. They played defense, right? They won that game 2017. Vinatieri kicks the winner. They got away with it against the Raiders on the tuck rule. This isn't like, oh my gosh, we're looking at the best player of all time in the NFL right now. This is 22 years ago, and nobody knew that story would be written about Tom or about the young guy right behind him.
Wow. Unreal, man.
Anyway, I love that moment, though. But it's funny. I saw when they were doing the show, I was like, Ty, wait, you got to see this. I rewound it because I was like, I think this might have been the one.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite stories to share. We'll be back. I do want to ask you, because you played against Tom.
Yeah.
And so prepping for Tom Brady some 10 years into his career, what was that like? We'll talk about it when we come back.
And we got some big Brian Flores news as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. We'll give you some updates. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. You're chuckling. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to look it up.
Okay, look it up.
All right. We'll be back.
ESPN 690 is home for the Florida Sportsman Fishing Show hosted by Captain Rick Riles. Tune in every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. to find out what's biting now. Fishing so fresh, you can almost smell it.
The right time for the best water is right now. CGC Water Treatment wants to make sure your family's water is clean, healthy, and tastes great. CGC Water's done that for my family for a handful of years now, and it all starts with a Connecticut system. American-made and installed by the pros at CGC Water Treatment. Contact CGC Water Treatment now for your free water test. Connecticut systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Connecticut makes the world's most efficient softeners, twin-tank, non-electric systems that use less salt and water during regeneration. Right now, save up to $600 on select system packages. Financing available with approved credit. Just call CGC Water at 904-552-1242 and ask about the Conway Club, the new service program that will save you money on salt, filters, delivery, parts, and labor. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars and your local independent Connecticut dealer.
2022 Acura deals have been unleashed with 2.9% APR at your First Coast Acura dealers. Upgrade to the award-winning 2022 RDX crossover SUV and save when you shop deals at firstcoastacuradealers.com. Offer excludes Type S edition.
Don't forget to celebrate your love this Valentine's and save thousands at Beard's Diamond.
Shop now through February 14th at beardsdiamonds.com and see hundreds of specially priced sweetheart deals.
Like a half-carat diamond solitaire necklace, retail $16.55. Beard's special Valentine price, $10.75.
You save over $500.
Or half-carat diamond hard necklace, retail $900.
Beard's Valentine price, $585.
And lots of diamond earrings to choose from, like a 1.5-carat pair, retail $3,600. Beard's diamonds price $23.40.
You save over $1,200.
See hundreds more at beardsdiamonds.com.
If you're celebrating an anniversary or getting engaged, Beard's Diamonds has the largest selection of engagement rings and GIA certified loose diamonds at the lowest prices in Jacksonville. Guaranteed.
Celebrate your love this Valentine's with these sweetheart deals at the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
And check out our website for this week's Sunday specials.
Get the lowest prices in Jacksonville guaranteed at Beard's Diamonds.
Get revved up for the Jacksonville International Auto Show because it's bigger than ever. We're adding an extra day. The show opens Thursday, February 17th at the Prime Osborne Convention Center. With inventory tight across Florida, it's your unique chance to experience the latest models. New EVs, crossovers, SUVs, and trucks. Rare exotics, remarkable classics. Tickets on Thursday the 17th are half price. Bring a food donation for Feeding Northeast Florida. Free parking from ViStar Credit Union. Discount coupons at gate gas stations. Get your tickets now at jacksautoshow.com.
You're invited to shop at the White Harvest Farms and Farmers Market every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's a market of fresh and affordable farm-to-table produce that comes from a 10.5-acre urban located at 4850 Moncrief Road. There's volunteering, classes, and farming demonstrations. Also, if you're interested in becoming a vendor or volunteer, call 904-354-4162 or visit the White Harvest Farms Eventbrite page. White Harvest Farms wants to be your favorite produce market. This initiative benefits the Clara White Mission.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Ready for an oil change? We can help get the right protection at the right price. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Daily Protection or Valvoline Max Life High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP oil filter for just $28.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Getting your guaranteed maximum refund with TaxSlayer feels like discovering a refund tree has grown in your backyard.
I'm the refund tree.
Sawing off its branches.
Hey.
Feeding them through a wood chipper.
My branches! My beautiful branches!
And dancing in its refund rain. Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane.
When I went to Denver, I knew a little bit of football. I didn't really know people and how important that aspect of this process and maintaining the culture and building the team was, and I failed, and I didn't succeed at it. And so, looking at that experience has been one of the best things in my life in terms of my overall growth as a person, as a coach. What do I need to do different? How do I need to handle my role if I have another opportunity and do better at it?
That is Josh McDaniels. Yeah, I was saying this to somebody today that I have a lot of thoughts on this part of it, but why is it so hard to find good people, like at least good-natured people, right? Yeah, I mean, we can all sit here and tell you who's good and who's not, and a lot of that's, well, how are they to me, right? Yeah. We do that with professional athletes all the time. Like, oh, great guy, he signed for my kid.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a jerk. He just kept walking. Like, that's how we identify what a good guy is or not. I can't sit here and tell you I know what good guys are or not. But what I don't understand is there are some people around the NFL that gets jobs in high-profile positions. Trent Baalke might be one here. Others through the years, maybe it is Urban Meyer, by the way. And other places. Like I heard a story about like a Detroit coach today, Detroit Lions. Like it said in recent memory, said he was just an awful guy, just terrible to work with, all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't understand how you can't vet that stuff out. And I'm not saying Josh McDaniels isn't a bad guy, but how when you bring Josh McDaniels into Denver, can you not figure out that he works well with people or understands people or knows how to lead or these kind of things? Like when you're talking about hiring one of 32 jobs that should take an enormous amount of vetting, can use exhaustive research and resources to vet.
Yeah.
And I understand everybody hires people and then you kind of like, I hope it works to some degree. But some of these things that stand out that make these guys fail, I would think would just slap you right in the face sometimes. And these owners in the NFL and sometimes GMs who are doing the hiring seem to ignore it. I don't understand how it happens with such frequency.
I mean, but that's with any job, though. Any job that has positions of power, sometimes the best candidates don't get hired because it's about who you know. It's about how you play the game, not necessarily what your resume says. So, yeah, I mean, it's evident in the NFL, but this is evident in just everyday life. It's just the way it is. It's about who you know.
Yeah, I guess. But even if it's who you know, make a phone call and say, what's this guy all about? Right? Like, what's his strengths? What's his weaknesses? Like, where are we going to run into trouble? What should I be aware of? Like, and the more you look at this and do this, it's like they are just grabbing the hot name, you know? Mm-hmm. It kind of does go back to Daboll. We've had this conversation. Like, should Daboll still be a candidate even without them going on this playoff run? Well, if he was good enough to be a candidate last year and he's helped fix Josh Allen and make him into the player he is, I'm not sure that should have to do with scoring 36 points in an AFC divisional game or not. That's what you're hiring. You're hiring a guy who can work with a quarterback, who can develop, and you think can teach and coach. That was the case last year. Nothing's really changed this year. And yet we get stuck with a hot name, the hot commodity, the last week, the last 3 weeks, the last 6 games. And these billionaire people will make big-time decisions in their own business life, screw that up left and right. It just shocks me.
I mean, do you think they should have vetted Urban Meyer some more?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah?
Yeah, listen, I'm putting Schott in this category.
Okay.
I mean, he obviously can't make the decisions the right way and is not learning from past mistakes, or Baalke would be gone. I mean, I think we've been pretty consistent with that the past mistakes of dysfunction over the last 4 years show you Baalke, whether he's a part of it or not, shouldn't be around.
Correct.
And so just even that Josh McDaniels stuff is interesting to me in a totally different light. And I'll even add to it. Like Brian Flores, obviously, is a former Miami Dolphins coach and has just sued the NFL in a class action lawsuit.
Well, and the New York Giants as well. I mean, NFL and New York Giants singling them out as well.
And so this is, again, there's a lot coming out right now. And so what's interesting is while he's filing a lawsuit, okay, and I'm not saying he's wrong or right.
Okay.
But to me, what goes along with this conversation I'm having, he is filing a lawsuit and potentially a finalist for the Houston job and talking to the Saints about their job.
Sure.
And it's like, all right, this guy meanwhile, in between interviews, is putting together a lawsuit which means you're never hiring him.
How do you figure?
There's no way they're hiring Flores while he is putting in a lawsuit against the NFL.
Because of stuff that he thinks. I mean, and maybe it's the truth, but like he's suing them because the Dolphins paid him $100,000 to supposedly throw games to tank for the season. He's suing the Giants because his job wasn't even up for grabs, but they still interviewed him anyways. So it was a waste of time. It was like a charity sham interview, as he calls it. So like these are situations where if this is true, those clubs shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So if I'm the Saints, if I'm the Texans, you're not going to hire a guy because he called out to an organization that kind of did it wrong?
Well, I don't know that. That's my point. And by the way, he might be right and all this, but this ain't playing out over the next 24 hours or next 48 hours or next 2 weeks where you're going to be hiring your coach. And so am I going to hire somebody that is in the middle of a lawsuit at any business? Probably not. No, I think the timing of this certainly hurts his chances to – again, he could be right on. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have the right to do this, but I'm just thinking that he has probably hurt his chances, at least in this cycle, of getting a job.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, maybe this year for sure, but it's not going to, like, I don't think it's going to crush his chances if he never gets I think he'll get a job again. Like, I don't think he's going to black.
He might be. Yeah, he might, depending on how it all shakes out, too. Like, if it gets proven right. Absolutely.
I mean, this could be a pretty fast case if it gets proven right. Who knows?
There's nothing fast in the NFL when it comes to cases like this.
Yeah.
So my point being is, like, have they not even vetted it out to the point where, like, or maybe they know more information, but, like, he's on the doorstep of potentially being hired by Houston.
Yeah.
And yet.
Good for him.
In the middle of a lawsuit.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, you don't think it's smart on his part, or what are you saying?
I have no problem from a principled nature of him filing the lawsuit. He might be right on it and calls the NFL out.
I mean, he's got some receipts.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I don't like. That's okay. This is not against Brian. I'm just talking about from an organizational point of view.
Okay.
If you're in the middle of suing a company or whatever firm on a radio about a radio thing, the chance of me hiring you in the middle of that's like a major red flag, right?
Well, then it just goes to show you to Brian Flores, maybe shedding some light on the messed up nature sometimes of NFL things is more important to him right now than getting a head coaching job this year. And if that's the case, and you want to peel back the curtain and kind of show some of the grievances that have been going on in the NFL, then more power to you, man.
Yeah, you're taking that higher road,
sure.
Right? I mean,
good for him.
And again, that doesn't mean it's the wrong route. Again, we're just talking about two different things. I'm not barking against Flores for doing it. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, wait a minute. You're like, if you're Houston, who's already had a bunch of dysfunction, first of all, you're bringing Flores in, who had some issues in Miami for whatever reason. We don't know the root of them, but had some issues. Are you vetting that out? Like, are these guys vetting these things out, or just kind of throwing darts and saying, hey, I like this guy. I think this guy could change. We went from offensive guy to defensive guy. I mean, some of the hiring processes in the NFL, and by the way, I'll even say it in this respect, that we could end up with a whole cycle of not hiring a black head coach in the NFL. How does that happen? You have 9 jobs open, and we might be heading down a road where we don't hire a black head coach.
Yeah.
Like that's unbelievable.
It's going to be a bad look.
Yeah, awful look.
But I also think that, I mean, I don't know, then you're kind of grasping at straws here in terms of what's more important. Is more important saying, if you're Brian Flores, that maybe you think, race was a factor in you not getting your job in New York, and they already knew that they're going to go with Dable, and then they kind of just brought you along for a charity case because you have the receipts from Bill Belichick. Is that more important to draw light to, or is it more important to be, the second black head coach right now in the NFL? I would probably go with the first thing over the latter. So I think what Brian Flores is doing is even probably bigger than if he was to take another coaching job someplace this year, because he's kind of peeling back the curtain and maybe some messed up things that have happened in the NFL that people have gotten away with, and now he's exposing those things.
Yeah, like I said, I have no problem with Flores doing this. If this is what happened, and this is principle, I love people who stand on principle, and especially if he's willing to do it to this degree, and when he could impact his own job. But the point being is, like, the hiring process of Houston right now should be like, wait a minute, the guy that's filing a class action lawsuit against the NFL is like our finalist. Wait a minute. After all the stuff that we've gone through over the last year.
Yeah, but you're also going through Josh McCown, so don't act like they don't have drama coming their way either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's Houston.
By the way, so as for the Flores standpoint, in making the decision to file the class action complaint today, I understand that I may be risking coaching the game that I love and that has done so much for my family and me. My sincere hope is that by standing up against systemic racism in the NFL, others will join me to ensure that positive change is made for generations to come. So again, it's a big hill to stand on. For Flores, it actually has, it's from a potentially sacrificing your own good. It is very Kaepernick-esque, totally different. Well, I don't know if it's totally different, but it's a different circumstance, of course. I'm a player and coach, but and I'm not sure this will become the Kaepernick kind of story that became a story for 3-4 years, right? And super polarizing. But the bottom line is you're risking your future. And Kaepernick did risk his future of having an opportunity in the NFL to some degree. How much that factored in is debatable, I guess, over his play, but it certainly seems to have factored in. And now will this be the case for Flores as well? This is all we know. The Belichick stuff now, we got to find some clarity here on this because this is all popping right now. But like the Belichick standalone, what he basically texted the wrong person. Right, he thought he was texting Brian Dable.
I thought he was texting Dable, wishing him congratulations on the coaching interview. Or I'm sorry, on getting the job with the Giants. When it's a couple text messages later, it's revealed that Bill Belichick realized that he messed up, and he said, "That's my bad," and expletive.
Yeah. Like, have you ever texted somebody the wrong? Yeah, you thought you were texting somebody. Yeah,
exactly. And then in doing so, it revealed to Brian Flores that even though he had an interview coming up, the job was already sealed with Dable.
Yeah, because he was coming up to interview with the Giants on Thursday.
Exactly.
So therefore,
it was
that's
a sham
proof
interview.
that it's a token interview.
Yes, exactly.
To meet probably the Rooney Rule.
Yep.
Right.
Of course.
Which by the way, there's like an elephant in the room that happens.
Sure, but this is evidence, though, and once again,
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's an elephant in the room that it happens all the time.
No, absolutely. But now you have it clear as day. You can hear things, but this proves that. Once again, if these text messages are confirmed, which I don't know why they would be fabricated, then yeah, that kind of proves to you that the whole interview set up for Brian Flores didn't even matter. Like, he had no chance of getting the job, but it's all about the Rooney Rule. The job was already handed to Dable.
Yeah, which is, by the way, right, on that, it's wrong to begin with, right? Do the vetting out process. And secondly, the Giants, you're idiots.
Yep, absolutely.
If that's the case. And now, what are we going to debate here? Well, Bill really didn't know. That was just his feeling. Like, is that what's going to come out of this? Like, what's the defense? Bill really didn't know Dable was going to get the job. It was just his feeling that, hey, that's what he's hearing, that you're going to get the job. Well, I don't, like, what is that? This could be a terrible, terrible cycle for an issue that is massive right now in the NFL and only going to blow up even more. And I'm not saying it shouldn't, but look at some things that could.
Well, and real quick, so the whole Bill Belichick thing, he even said, I've heard from Buffalo and the New York Giants that you're their guy.
Oh, he even said that?
I hope it works out if you want it to.
Wow.
Now, once again, take that for how you want.
What's the Miami one? You're reading up on this a little bit more. That 2019 when they tried to tank, like the tank for Tua. Remember the tank for Tua?
Yeah.
Right.
So
it ended up being Joe Burrow, but
correct. So in 2019, it's reported that Brian Flores was offered $100,000 by the owner, which would be Stephen Ross. Correct? Yeah, yes. Stephen Ross. $100,000 for every game that the Dolphins threw to try to get better draft position.
Sheesh.
You thought Will Fuller was a bad look for your team?
Yeah. I mean,
throw that in there.
I don't like. I'm trying to think of as you say that. Like, what's that? Is that Pete Rose betting on baseball?
I mean,
like, is that
imagine,
is that point shaving scandal of college basketball?
That's up there,
right?
I mean, like, because it's weird because like and once again, this is like up to date Twitter that I'm on right now. But it seems like people are more focused right now on the Bill Belichick text with the Flores things, which makes sense. But the Miami Dolphins accusations are huge as well.
For integrity of the game.
I mean, imagine being a player in that team, and then your owner is paying your coach $100,000 to throw it, or to at least lose.
Yeah. Which, by the way, this has become this is a wink of the Jags. Looked like they were tanking.
Yeah.
Right? We've seen it in other sports. The Atlanta Braves, right? The Orioles, the Houston Astros. Like, they're set up to fail.
Yeah.
And, like, we had this discussion last year, right?
Yeah.
You've said it countless times. James Robinson, why did he miss those couple of games? Was he really that hurt, or could he have played through it?
Correct.
We've asked the question. We don't know anything, just for, to be perfectly clear. But what we said about this is Gardner Minshew gives you the best chance to win. We had this discussion for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're trying to save your job, best chance to win in Jacksonville, Gardner Minshew gives you a better chance than Jake freaking Luton.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, So to say that people don't kind of, in quotes, tank, but this takes it to another level if you're getting paid to tank.
And then there's someone with the Denver Broncos as well. You want to hear this one real quick?
Yeah, please.
So, according to Mr. Flores, this wasn't the first sham interview that was held. Back in 2019, Mr. Flores was scheduled to interview with the Denver Broncos. However, the Broncos' then general manager, John Elway, and president and chief executive officer, Joe Ellis, and others showed up an hour late to the interview. They looked completely disheveled, and it was obvious that they had been drinking heavily the night before. It was clear from the substance of the interview that Mr. Flores was interviewed only because of the Rooney Rule, and that the Broncos never had any intention to consider him as a legitimate candidate for the job. Shortly thereafter, Vic Fangio, a white man, was hired to be the head coach of the Broncos. That's just part of like would you call it a deposition, I guess? Or
sure.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. Okay.
Yeah, the suit.
At
least.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, like this, I had a conversation with somebody last night, and this could be like such a bad, you talk about optics in Jacksonville being bad right now. You talk about a bad optics in the NFL. And by the way, take the Flores thing out of it for a moment, okay? This is going to add to it, and this is going to be the headline.
Yeah.
And by the way, I want you to answer. You can speak to this better than me.
Yeah.
But from my view, you're talking about a diversity issue. Diversity has been an issue over the last however many years, but especially in the coaching ranks, in college football, in the NFL. This is not just an NFL thing. 70% of the players are black. The coach, right now, there's one head coach in the NFL that's black.
Correct.
Part of that process is getting more African-American coaches in defensive coordinator roles and offensive coordinator roles. And to be honest, there are more in those roles.
Some pretty good ones, too.
Yes.
Yes.
And there have been a lot of candidates in this cycle.
Yeah.
From Bieniemy to Leftwich to D'Amico Ryans to Jim Caldwell, right?
Yeah.
But we are 4 hires in. Jim Harbaugh looks like he could be a favorite in one spot. Mike McDaniel looks like he could be a favorite in another spot. Doug Peterson looks like he could be in a favorite in another spot. Josh McCown looks like he could be a favorite in another spot. And Dennis Allen looks like he could be the favorite in another spot. Folks, those are all white men.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you could have 9 jobs where you don't have an African-American hired in a sport that could end up in 2022 with 70% of the players black and 1 out of 32 head coaches black. Like, again, this is deeper than what it looks like. Like, I don't like to say it like that because I think that diminishes the real issue of, no, it's an issue. It's a problem. It's not just how it looks.
Yeah.
But that's a look. Flores, same thing. And by the way, in this cycle, it looked like Byron Leftwich was about to get a job, at least from a narrative standpoint. We don't know how close this was.
Yep.
But even here in Jacksonville, it looked like, here you go. Oh, wait a minute, not so fast. Right?
Yeah.
So this could be just an atrocious look for the NFL if all these things come to fruition.
See, you say it's an atrocious look, and okay, I get that, but this might be the necessary look for the NFL.
Interesting way to look at it.
Because you know, when the Rooney Rule is first put into place, and I think if you ask minority players or any minority in general, I think they're going to have different views of the Rooney Rule.
Yeah.
It was designed to get more black coaches in the NFL. So, like, it came from a place, I would like to believe, of good-heartedness. But the problem with the Rooney Rule is that it's almost like a parody on itself, where it's like, okay, we have to make up a special rule to interview black coaches now because they're not getting the fair shake in general. It's 2022. What are we talking about? So, like, that's what you get with the Rooney Rule. And, like, maybe I was naive enough to think, okay, this Rooney Rule doesn't look the best when you say it, but you know what? It's probably going to lead to better things, and it'll all be worth it. And now we sit here, and we have, you know, 3, I think, minority coaches, and Robert Saleh and Ron Rivera. True. And then you have 1 black coach and Mike Tomlin, but you have 1 black head coach in the NFL, and that's it. Okay? Now, yeah, there's coordinators that are successful, but only 1 black head coach. So what that shows me is that you can say out of the kindness of your heart that, hey, the Rooney Rule, you know, I mean, we're doing our due diligence. You know, we're making it fair. Just the best candidates didn't make it. BS. No, that's not the case. All right? It's deeper than that. It's more facilitated than that. So to sit here and say, okay, well, let's just sit back and let the Rooney Rule, you know, do its part, and eventually it'll all work itself out. It'll correct itself, and eventually we'll have black head coaches everywhere in the NFL. Well, no. That's not going to happen. So what I feel like is going on right now is Brian Flores is saying, you know what? Maybe I could be a head coach in Houston. Maybe I could be a head coach in Minnesota, wherever else is hiring right now. Or I can burn this whole thing down. I can burn it down, and we can start anew. And that's what I feel like Brian Flores is doing right now. He's going to make, and once again, assuming everything is true here, there's going to be so much more progress made from this move right here from Brian Flores over Brian Flores being another black head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. It's not even up for debate.
You know, and by the way, from an ethnicity standpoint, Mike McDaniel's biracial. And so
yeah.
I don't know what, again, you said minorities. I mean, Ron Rivera, Robert Saleh. Yeah. And I've always wondered what you just said about the Rooney Rule in general, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I understand why. It's too bad it even has to be put in place.
Yes.
To your point.
Yeah.
But I also, like, do some black head coaches feel like they're just pawns in the game to make sure they check a box, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think, but it's also a necessary evil to potentially getting a job because you want interviews, right?
Man. I mean, listen, if you're Brian Flores and, you know, it says that he won in spite of Stephen Ross that year because, like, they kept on winning.
He said I wasn't taking the 100,000, yeah.
So, but, like, in that moment right there, if Stephen Ross comes up to you and offers you $100,000, you know, for every loss, and, like, a part of you wants to say, hey, man, I'm about to, like, you can't do that. I'm about to report you, but you can't do that. Because as soon as you go, hey, this guy's, you know, essentially trying to get me to throw games, well, then you're ostracized. Then you're out of the league. But I think, like, everything started to pile up with Brian Flores where it's like, fine then, man. I'll say what I have to say. But it also makes you wonder, you know, did that lead to him getting fired in the first place from Miami? Because to me, Brian Flores was a super surprising fire.
It was, yeah, big time.
You know?
Big
I mean,
time.
I think out of all the candidates, I mean, I guess Zimmer, but I think Flores was probably the most surprising. And now I can wonder,
he went 8-1 over his last
did it have something to do with that as well?
It's an incredible story that we're still, quite frankly, trying to digest.
But this is, I mean, I don't want to, like, exaggerate stuff and call it like a revolution or anything. But, like, if you want to make a change with anything that you think is unfair or unjust, you start from the inside and you rip the whole thing down. You burn it down. Yeah. This could be burning it down.
Do you think intentional February 1st on the first day of Black History Month?
That's a good call, too. I think it warrants discussion. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the latest in the NFL. And, wow. By the way, a story that now will dominate.
Yeah.
Not only in general, because the NFL cycle is a dominating league in the cycle of news, but also it's Super Bowl couple weeks. And so now it dominates a Super Bowl couple of weeks, which maybe it just coincidence that it's Black History Month and it's February 1st, and that's when Flores choose to name the suit. But it also comes at a very good time in terms of the high-profile nature of people talking about the Super Bowl, the NFL, and everything else.
So this is interesting as well, because Brian Flores is represented by the people that came out against Harvey Weinstein, right? The group. It makes you wonder going forward, and this is all speculation, obviously, but it makes you wonder going forward if other coaches are going to come out now, other minority coaches are going to come out and foul Brian Flores and say, hey, I saw this, and now it starts to snowball a little bit.
Yeah, and this kind of circles back, Austin, to a little bit of what I was saying. How do you end up with some really bad people, like really bad candidates in the mix in some places, white or black, by the way? Yeah. But then you have so many issues from a diversity standpoint that you could really give some good men, good coaches an opportunity. And by the way, let's not lose sight of it's happening a little bit in Jacksonville too. I would way more rather see a guy like Adrian Wilson, who is black, have an opportunity to be the GM in Jacksonville than a guy like Trent Baalke, who has not got the job done in the last decade and continues to just survive in the NFL for some reason.
I'm telling you, man, it's the biggest contradiction in the NFL. The fact that it's supposed to be about wins and losses, but the best candidates never get hired.
Which doesn't make sense.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Doesn't make sense.
That's why it's the biggest contradiction in the NFL to me.
We'll be back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly to mostly sunny and mild today. The afternoon high in the upper 60s, cooler at the beaches, dropping into the 40s tonight, and partly sunny and mild tomorrow. Your Wednesday high 70 to 75. I'm TV meteorologist Mike Burrish. Join me today beginning at 5 p.m. on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds. Get the guaranteed lowest price at the only locally owned diamond store in the St. John's Town Center. Now is the time to get an estimate on replacement windows. American Window Products of Jacksonville is a high-volume dealer offering a huge selection of products to keep your costs low. New windows from American Window Products can lower your energy costs and increase your curb appeal and security, all without breaking the bank. Call American Window Products for a free estimate at 904-667-0873 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
Hey, does your car still only play CDs? No Bluetooth? No CarPlay? You got an old car, my friend. You know what's better than an old car? A less old car. Get a car or truck that's new to you with a great used car loan from 1-to-1 Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. Get pre-approved for a loan and shop at any dealership in town. Get a low rate and get rid of that old car today. Apply online at 1to1fcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
Are you looking for a venue to celebrate your special occasion that guests can't stop talking about? Call Riverside North Special Events and Banquet Hall. We specialize in anniversaries, weddings, birthday parties, corporate meetings, family reunions, fundraisers, graduations, and funerals. This unique, all-inclusive, full-service venue is the way to go. Call us today at 354-4162 and let us book your next event. All proceeds from bookings benefit the Clara White Mission.
Join the movement to end colon cancer. The annual March to Get Screened 5K is coming up on March 27th. All proceeds benefit the nonprofit Borland Groover Foundation to advance colon cancer research, provide free screenings, and financial assistance. Colon cancer is actually preventable with regular colon screenings. Hundreds of lives have been saved due to the support of our community and the March to Get Screened 5K. Bring the family and join us in downtown Jacksonville on March 27th. To register, donate, or for more information, go to marchtoGetScreened.com.
Well, the holidays are behind us, and that means nothing but open road ahead. So make every mile this new year the best it can be in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. Camry, Corolla, RAV4, Tundra, Tacoma. Arlington Toyota's got 500 new Toyotas available and ready for wherever you want to go in 2022. Plus, every new car purchase from Arlington Toyota comes with a lifetime warranty and Arlington's 30-day exchange program. Where will your new Toyota take you in 2022? Find out and shop arlingtontoyota.com action.com today.
Transmission problems? Call Action Transmission Specialists on Merrill Road, where you get the work done right the first time by the experts. I'm Robin Sidbury, the owner. Our techs can service all makes and models, and we provide a nationwide warranty, so you have the peace of mind knowing we solve your transmission troubles fairly and honestly and guaranteed nationwide. Call us at Action Transmission Specialist on Merrill Road, where quality counts. Get traction. Call Action at 744-0755.
It's that time of year when folks everywhere scratch their heads and wonder, what can I get my love for Valentine's Day? You know what your darling really wants from you to make them feel special? Finally updating the chipped and faded paint on your house. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary permanent ceramic coating that's a superior alternative to paint and vinyl siding. It comes with a 25-year warranty, so you'll never have to paint again. Call Rhino Shield today.
Water stains on the shower glass. Try rubbing some shaving cream on.
Tyler's cleaning crew knows every housekeeping trick in the book.
Handling timesheets now.
But they need a proper bookkeeper to keep finances tidy.
New equipment is a business expense, right?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm here at the Big Game headquarters, Total Wine and More, stocking up for the big celebration. The perfect bourbon, local craft beer.
Forgetting something?
Oh yeah, Cabernet, seltzers.
The day after is Valentine's Day.
Whoa, new game plan.
You got this. Total Wine can help you score the perfect bubbly, too.
Thank you, I would have been.
You sure would have.
Total Wine and More, pickup and delivery available. Drink responsibly, be 21.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7, with supplies and solutions for every industry, and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey team, it's a full house. We gotta pick up the pace.
At Hank's Restaurant, the line goes around the block.
Is this for 12? Okay, I need the truffle oil drizzle.
What he needs is another line cook.
Oh man, are the quail breasts still in the sous vide? Dave, can you keep an eye on that, please?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Did you know that you have the power to positively impact a local child's life? It's as easy as donating to Daniel, Florida's oldest child service agency. Daniel provides counseling to abused children. Daniel helps homeless teens find shelter and learn to live independently. Daniel connects kids with foster families and strengthens at-risk families so they can stay together. They've done all this and more for 135 years. Please become a part of improving the lives of local children and families by donating at danielkids.org today.
Action Sports Jax. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jax. Watch, listen, subscribe.
I'm very excited, having a defensive head coach, I feel like there are some positives to that. I feel like offense, being on the offense, you kind of know what the defense is doing, but you don't know what, fully they're doing. So they're running a certain type of coverage, but, when you have a defensive head coach, he's able to explain to you what their jobs are, what their certain assignments are in a certain coverage. So I think, that's one plus on having a defensive head coach. And, of course, as far as the offensive coordinator, I think, it's going to be awesome just, having him, solely just focus on the offense and getting that working, just like you said. So I'm excited.
I didn't listen to all the context of that, but I'm trying to figure out who it was. Defensive coach, offensive coach. Was that Justin Fields?
Yeah.
Was it?
Man,
yeah.
I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
I'm still reading through this.
I should be better. I'm so good at this game sometimes, even when I'm half listening, that I should be better at figuring out what the hell the Jags are doing.
Keep it up, because I think, isn't today NHL guest NHL player as well? Or not?
Maybe.
Nope.
Not today. We'll come back tomorrow.
Lucky. Dodged a bullet, Brent.
I thought today was talk more about who won the golf picks over the weekend. And Glenn with a little shout out to Wawa.
Landslide.
Balky holding out. I've got Wawa, so maybe he got me one, Glenn.
Cut the check. Wawa.
Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Casey Kurtz. Big news out of the NFL. Brian Flores, former Dolphins coach, has sued the NFL, class action suit. Primarily incidents with the Dolphins of potentially trying to throw games to tank. Remember, the tank for Tua a year is where this came from. They end up getting Tua at number 5.
Yeah.
Of course, now they would probably all say they would have went all in on Joe Burrow because everybody in hindsight says they knew exactly what they wanted to do and how good a guy was going to be. What would be really fascinating is if Tua would have been picked number 1 overall if they did finish with the number 1 pick that year.
Yeah.
Or if it would have been Burrow or somebody else. But Flores alleges that he was offered $100,000 for each loss during the tanking. And then the Giants job where he was going to interview on a Thursday, Bill Belichick had mistakenly texted Brian Flores instead of Daboll and said, you got the job. Mm-hmm. So he knew, at least from the text, the theory could be, the interpretation could be, that Belichick and other people around league circles knew that Daboll was going to get the job in New York, even though Flores hadn't interviewed yet, which makes Flores essentially a Rooney Rule interview, token interview instead. So that's kind of where it's at. He also brings up a Denver situation when he had an interview back in 2014, and he admits in a statement that this could damage his future in the NFL, but it's for the greater good. Mm-hmm. And so the NFL has a major problem on their hands here in their off week between the Super Bowl and the AFC and NFC championship games, and also on a day where, well, the greatest player of all time officially retires, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So it is an enormous day in the NFL. Let's get South Beach Gary on the line. He's a big Dolphins fan, by the way. I'm assuming he's probably – I can't wait to get his thoughts on the $100,000 a game, if that's true. Again, we got to put this in context, right?
Sure.
These are allegations and suits, and much like I try to do with the coaching search of the Jags, very little of it's fact until it's proven to be fact. But South Beach Gary, go ahead.
I think it's a bunch of baloney. I mean, if it were true, why didn't he come out right away? He was rated after he was dismissed. Could the fact that he hasn't gotten the job, guys, be the fact that he's caused friction with Chris Greer and Tua and the people that want to bring that drama to their football team? Could that have anything to do with why Brian Flores hasn't gotten a job yet, you think?
Yeah, South Beach Gary, thanks for the call. Here's what I would say to that. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of things in sports. It took a long time for college basketball to not come clean, but got found guilty to the point where there was investigations and FBI and all these things, right? College football and other. When we have scandals, it takes a while. Like when scandalous activity against one of the 32 men that own teams in the NFL that's paying you a couple $1 million a year, are you going to be the guy to out that? What happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. There's plenty of that. I'm sure there's plenty of things Austin saw in his career that would make headlines.
Yep.
And I'm not even saying you've seen the worst of it, but.
And they're going to be in my tell-all book, Austin Lane Behind the Scenes, 2 years from now.
2 years?
No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm joking. I got nothing.
Can I write the forward?
Yeah, you got it, Brent. Yeah.
But my point being, you know how that goes, right?
No, for sure.
I mean,
There's there's unwritten rules.
Well, there's not only that, but there's cover-ups and there's threats and these are people's livelihoods who have family and not only always have power. So, and by the way, if you don't believe that, South Beach Gary, that's fine. Would it be possible and plausible to say that the owner of the Dolphins in discussions of what they're doing in their future said in like passing and almost a sense of humor, I'll give you $100,000 if you don't win a game?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to defend him with that, but I'm just saying maybe.
Sure. But then there's also, it's reported now in this, that there was friction between ownership and Brian Flores when they kept on winning.
Yes.
And there was disagreements.
Well, because he totally is going against him. I mean, this is straight out of like a movie where it's like, I'm going to take the high road out of principle and I'm going to win games and screw you, owner.
Yeah.
I don't care if you fire me.
Yeah.
And essentially down the road he did. But let me give you you don't have to necessarily believe every detail or we can debate details. We don't know, right? But let me just say this. For Flores, who, again, as I said about 40 minutes ago, appears to be a finalist for the Houston Texans job.
Yeah.
Appears to be meeting with the Saints about their job. And is willing to do this and say this. Like, it's one thing if he has been already blackballed out of the NFL, right? And is never going to get a job in the NFL. It would be one thing for somebody who's 30 years his elder to be like, my career's done. I'm going to out them about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? This is a guy that still has, like, he's been a sought-after coach because of the success on the field, and many people think he's going to end up back as a head coach at some point once they get through the muddy details of what did happen in Miami and why it didn't work out and how you can win 8 or 9 games and get fired. And so he will have plenty of jobs in the NFL if he doesn't do this for the next 25 years. And some of it as a head coach. He'll no doubt get another head coaching opportunity.
Yeah.
And so he is willing to risk that for this suit. Now, it doesn't mean he won't get a job, but he's certainly risking it. He admits that too. And so that's what I would say. It's like, you can believe what you want to believe, but this is a guy in the middle of a coaching hiring process where he's doing interviews, willing to name this class action suit. I mean, that's unheard of stuff.
So a little more of this suit, and this is brought to my attention by Demetrius Harvey on Twitter here. He posted another article of this suit, and it reads as follows. Defendants John Doe teams 1 through 29 are intended to identify NFL teams who have engaged in discriminatory conduct towards the members of the proposed class. And in that class, the Jacksonville Jaguars are noted. They are listed.
Yeah, I'm just seeing that too. So
I mean, there's basically there's 2 teams I think missing that are excluded from this part of it, but take that for how you want as well.
So say that part again if you don't mind.
Yeah. So defendants John Doe teams 1 through 29 are intended to identify NFL teams who have engaged in discriminatory conduct towards the members of the proposed class, including potentially and then it lists all the teams.
Okay. It says including potentially.
Including potentially, and then it lists the teams, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are on that list.
Okay. And so if there are 29 in that list,
yeah,
and he's already named 2 others, like the Giants and the Dolphins, that gets us to 31. Is he not naming just one team?
I guess. I mean,
Can you see
Steelers on the list?
The Steelers are on the list.
How about Houston? Because he's a finalist for the
Giants. Houston is on the list. Yes.
How about
New Orleans is on the list. Yes.
Go ahead. Give us the list.
Arizona, Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo, Carolina, Chicago, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Dallas, Detroit, Green Bay, Houston, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Kansas City, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, both Los Angeles teams, Minnesota Vikings, New England Patriots, New Orleans Saints, New York Jets, Philadelphia Eagles, Pittsburgh Steelers, San Francisco 49ers, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Tennessee, or the Washington football team. And no, I'm not going to repeat it again.
And by the way, so he didn't list because he had already listed the Giants and the Dolphins.
Yes.
And so if you're really good, by the way, at this game, if you could figure out the one team that's missing.
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Because after all that, I'm not sure I could. I think I
got. Oh, no, I don't got it. Sorry. Keep going, my
bad. So
yeah.
So now that's what a class action suit is usually too, by the way, right? And when you are a part of the NFL, that's why they're now going to be connected. So, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's a specific example of the Jaguars doing this, right?
Correct.
We don't know that.
Correct. But it's just listed,
I mean, just a lot to still unfold and unpack on this, but certainly not over yet. Hey, we got to take a break, don't we? Getting up a little late against it. You don't want me to take a break?
Nah, just stay here.
Okay.
Let's just stay, Brent. Let's just stay while we're here.
So we'll stay here. We will definitely stay here. So somebody just said the Broncos. Were the Broncos on that?
The Denver Broncos were not on the list.
Nice job.
But
nice job.
Yeah, that's a great job.
And so they were on the
other one.
So the Broncos, the Giants, and the Dolphins named separately in specific instances.
Correct.
And then the other 29 as part of the class.
So you named everybody.
Yep. Well, we figured they would have had to. Either that or he's a front runner for the job at one of them.
For sure. Yeah.
So again, this is. I mean, just think about what just happened here. There's a huge issue of diversity problems in the NFL, and now he has specific instances of hurting the integrity of the game with the Miami Dolphins from a tanking standpoint. The procedural interview process in Denver and in New York, and he's doing this while he's as a class action suit against the team that he just interviewed with for their head coaching job.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like, wow.
I'm going to say.
I mean, that is a wow type of thing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine interviewing for the job like here and filing while you have a lawsuit going on against him?
It's wild, man. It's so wild.
Like that's crazy.
I mean, I'm gonna say this because this is gonna be talked about now. I mean, this isn't just a flash in the pan 24-hour news cycle thing. Like I think this is gonna be big for a while. I'm very curious to see if other people start coming out now. That's what I'm
Yeah, and by the way,
if that's the case, then you're gonna have the NFL in terms of optics. Like we talk about, the Jaguars the optics that could come out if other players or other coaches start coming forward and claiming negligence and all this stuff could be damning, I think, to the NFL.
Do you think it's likely others will come out in defense of this or with more examples of this to support? Or why wouldn't they have filed the suit jointly if that were to be the case?
So I will say this. I think it's more likely that other suits and other people are going to step forward than not step forward. Yeah. I think I don't want to call this like a play here because this is obviously a serious thing, but I believe like what's happening right now, the timing, what's going on, I think it's a long play situation here from Flores and some other people.
The other part about that is what I would bring up. And again, I don't think this is an apples to apples case. And I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't think it is. But it comes, again, the last person that was willing to do this to sacrifice potentially their career was Colin Kaepernick.
Yes.
And when that happened, it was who Reed, right? The defensive back. Who also was willing.
Yeah.
Now, he ended up playing some more.
Yeah.
But he was, while he didn't maybe go to the extreme of Kaepernick, he was kind of the next guy in line.
No, he was kind of like guilty by association, if you will.
Yeah. So he was willing to do it, but very few others.
Yeah, it was Eric Reed.
Eric Reed, thank you.
Yeah.
But very few others, Austin, were willing to sacrifice their careers, their paychecks, their potentially everything else, their reputation, whatever it might be.
Yes.
For the greater good, if you will.
Yeah.
And so will this continue to be the case in a billion-dollar industry where people get paid a lot of money to play the game they love or coach the game they love for a lot of glory and a lot of attention and a lot of everything else? Are they willing to, even though they think they would like to, are they willing to support Flores from a public and vocal standpoint? That'll be something to watch.
Well, and here's the thing, too. With Kaepernick, that was two players, Eric Reed and Colin Kaepernick, and, that was players. And eventually, at the time, was it big? Absolutely. But then that grew and that grew and that grew, and, it snowballed and became this worldwide thing. Now, if you have a former coach in a position of power speaking out against the people above him, well, that's just, I think it's another echelon of what could come down here in terms of coaches and speaking out against grievances and stuff.
And by the way, it's two different things, right? It's a diversity issue, but it's also an integrity of the game issue with what went down in Miami, if true, about tanking.
Yep.
It's a big story right now in the NFL. We'll be back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690, football at 5, as we continue to search for the Jaguars' next head coach as well.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami. Jules in Minneapolis and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations so you get the product you're looking for. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
On average, an artificial limb for a child starts at $5,000, and the first prosthetic for an adult can cost up to $50,000, making it nearly impossible for disabled children or veterans to afford the limb they need. At Life Giving Limbs, we cover the cost of these prosthetics, giving recipients a chance at receiving a new limb and a new start on life. Please help by donating now. Visit lifegivinglimbs.com or call 469-601-8523.
These days, answering your phone can feel like a game of roulette. It could be an important call or just another spam call or wrong number. When you're trying to grow your business, you can't afford to risk missing a call from a new client, but your time is precious and can't be wasted on junk calls. Smith AI is the receptionist service every business owner needs. Our award-winning 24/7 virtual receptionists will answer your calls and schedule appointments. We'll even make outbound sales calls for you. Visit smith.ai to read our 5-star reviews and use code CALL for $100 off.
2022 deals have arrived at your First Coast Acura dealers. Don't wait. Reserve your on-order Acura today. Plus, your current vehicle has never been worth more, and we'll pay top dollar for your trade. FirstCoastAcuraDealers.com.
ESPN 690 is home for the Florida Sportsman Fishing Show hosted by Captain Rick Riles. Tune in every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. to find out what's biting now. Fishing so fresh, you can almost smell it.
Men, did you know that over half of all males suffer from ED or PE?
Ladies, your man should talk to the specialists at Prime Men's Medical Center.
If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down,
Men are now lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, and it's affordable.
For a private consultation at Prime Men's Medical Center, call 904-664-8217.
See results on your first visit, guaranteed, or pay nothing.
Call 904-664-8217.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations so you get the product you're looking for. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Bono's Pit Barbecue. Yeah, it's good. It's more than food. It's about the flavor, the tradition. It's barbecue, and it's who we are at Bono's. Locally smoked since 1949. Almost 20 locations around Jacksonville. On the menu, smokehouse stackers, sandwiches, salads, sides, and Bono's Family Feast. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. Authentic traditional Southern barbecue. Feel the flavor, feel the community. Bono's Pit Barbecue. Yeah, it's good.
The right time for the best water is right now. CGC Water Treatment wants to make sure your family's water is clean, healthy, and tastes great. CGC Water's done that for my family for a handful of years now, and it all starts with a Connecticut system. American-made and installed by the pros at CGC Water Treatment. Contact CGC Water Treatment now for your free water test. Connecticut systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Connecticut makes the world's most efficient softeners, twin-tank, non-electric systems that use less salt and water during regeneration. Right now, save up to $600 on select system packages. Financing available with approved credit. Just call CGC Water at 904-552-1242 and ask about the Conway Club, the new service program that will save you money on salt, filters, delivery, parts, and labor. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars and your local independent Connecticut dealer.
Do you know a child who is deaf, hard of hearing, blind, or visually impaired? The Florida School for the Deaf and Blind in St. Augustine is a fully accredited, tuition-free state public school that gives children an edge for a lifetime of success. FSDB is nationally recognized for its educational services designed for students' unique communication and accessibility needs. Eligible pre-K and kindergarten through 12th grade students benefit from small class sizes, advanced technology, and various recreation, extracurricular, and performing arts activities. Transportation and boarding services are free to any eligible deaf or blind student, kindergarten through high school, no matter where the student lives in Florida. My name is Trent Ferguson, and I'm a proud graduate of this wonderful school. This place changes lives. To learn more information or to apply for enrollment, call 800-344-3737 or log on to www.fsdbk12.org.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Florida Army National Guard. Aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Ready for an oil change? We can help get the right protection at the right price. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Daily Protection or Valvoline Max Life High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP oil filter for just $28.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios. Anna Jar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news. Fired Dolphins coach Brian Flores has sued the NFL, the Dolphins, Broncos, and Giants, saying racist hiring practices by the league have left it racially segregated and managed like a plantation. The suit alleges the leagues discriminated against Flores and other black coaches for racial reasons, denying them for positions like head coaches and GM jobs. Flores also alleged that teams conducted sham interviews after they selected their candidate for the job. ESPN NFL analyst Ryan Clark.
The playing field is not leveled. It's not level at the bottom rings of coaching, and it's also not level at the top. And until we actually get to true diversity in the NFL, we will have this. It may not be racism, but race is definitely involved.
Ryan Clark on NFL Live. The greatest quarterback of all time has officially called it an NFL career after 22 seasons and 7 Super Bowl championships. Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady on Instagram announcing his retirement. Former Oklahoma QB Caleb Williams transferring to USC. NBA, Brooklyn's James Harden probable against the Suns tonight with a hand injury.
The new Venture X card from Capital One. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel, plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane.
The joke is always if you had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay, then you're going to be a head coach of the NFL. And there's a ton of truth to that, because if you spend time around the guy, he gives you a ton of confidence in yourself. He's really shown a lot of us young guys that you can do it your own way. It doesn't have to be the way it's always been done, for the last 20 years, maybe around the league. That there can be a different way of doing things. And so I think that we all saw that from Sean. He was very open with about how he did things and why he made certain decisions. And so that has allowed myself and a lot of other guys to go off and feel very comfortable leading a team because of the impact that he made on all of us.
That is Zach Taylor?
I could call.
Gosh, I'm just on a roll. I am on a roll. The NFL is not.
No.
I think people bring up interesting points. Steve Weich, I just saw him tweet about this, and he says, cannot tell you over the years how many black coaches took interviews knowing they weren't getting head coaching jobs, but were encouraged to for the experience. The amount of texts and combos I've had this coaching cycle with black coaches equate to this. How's that working out, is what he says. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Casey Kurtz, big story in the NFL today. Brian Flores, former Miami Dolphins coach, suing the NFL class action suit, which means the Jaguars are included. No specific instances of 29 of the teams, including the Jaguars, but specifically suing the NFL and cites the New York Giants for their hiring practices this past cycle. In the past, the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins, not for their hiring processes, but instead their integrity to the game, where they allege Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, told Brian Flores that he'd give him $100,000 for every game they lost in 2019. That was, if you might remember, the tank for Tua narrative and year, where the Dolphins ended up actually picking 5th overall, I believe it was, and still ended up getting Tua. Cincinnati finished with the number 1 pick, got Joe Burrow that year. And, well, here they are in the Super Bowl a couple of years later. And I don't think you could ignore a couple of things we said. What's the irony or exact nature of this lawsuit happening on the first day of Black History Month here on February 1st? Also, the high-profile nature, which are always the NFL's high profile, but of Tom Brady retiring earlier today, and maybe bigger than that, Super Bowl now less than 2 weeks out. And so this is a huge time for everybody to talk about the NFL. And so I don't know if that's all coincidental stuff or if there was some exact nature, which probably, by the way, would not be a bad idea on the part of whoever's PR staff is working on this. Yeah. So I would believe it would be pretty intentional at when this came out. But at the same time, that's really not the main storyline. Either. I think, do you have concern? I think Sean brings this up on YouTube a little bit, and I'm just going to paraphrase. But now do we wonder every time a black coach is hired, are they getting the job because they are black?
Yeah.
And the flip side of this, are we going to go through an opposite side of this, which, by the way, might be beneficial anyway. But I'm just saying, are we going to hit that? I mean, and by the way, still right now, we don't know if Byron Leftwich could still be in the mix. Doesn't feel like he's in the mix. But if he were to get the head coaching job, or Jim Caldwell were to get the head coaching job, do we think that even happened in Jacksonville? And I would say it would be in everybody's back of their mind, whether we know that's true or not, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking me, is it going to overcorrect itself so much we're going to have, 20 black head coaches in the NFL? I mean, I don't think it's going to be that extreme. But at the same time, I'm a lot less taken back by that than the latter of saying, well, this guy got the head coaching job because he had a cup of coffee with this dude in college and they knew each other and now he's the head coach.
Yeah.
So if you start looking more on what these guys are capable of in terms of the X's and O's and their coaching capabilities, and not so much of, well, I know this guy from so-and-so, and I said if I get to this point, I'm going to bring him on with me, because that's what the NFL is. It's about who you know. It is the good old boys network. And if that goes away a little bit more, then so be it. I'll take whatever over that.
I said this to you in a commercial break. In the most simplistic form possible, at the basic roots of the NFL, and I'm hiring, and winning is really all that matters. Like, winning is really all that matters. We're not talking about college football where you can hide behind the facade of growing young men, and I want to coach and hope this guy takes these life lessons. And by the way, I do know that's part of coaching, but the problem with college football is it's also very big business. So hiding behind that is a little different. We're talking about the NFL, right? We're talking about the NFL where that's all that matters. Yeah, it's big business, but for you to stay in big business, you better win. And I've just always been, again, at the very simplest form, and almost maybe from a naive standpoint, because I feel like it's so simple and logical. Like, why would race or anything like that even factor in? Because all I care about is winning. Like I told you, I gave you an example. Like, I don't care if Lady Gaga was my head coach.
Yeah.
if she could get us wins and was good at doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just can't get by. Like, I understand all the talking points around it. I just can't believe and fathom and the idiocy of not hiring the person that's going to get you the most wins or do the best job for your organization.
But, and listen, man, I said this, I think, a segment ago, and I'll say it again. It is the greatest contradiction in the NFL because it's about wins and losses. But then when you look at the hiring process, when you look at some of these coaches, whether it's position coordinators who aren't the most qualified, who aren't the best suited, they still get an opportunity because of who they know. And they're not the best candidate. So then are wins and losses really the most important thing? Or is it just, yeah, it's important, but I also want to feel comfortable with who I'm going to hire, and I want to make sure that we have a good scenario of a guy I can get along with, as opposed to winning football games. It's a contradiction. And I'm never going to put any coach on blast or call any coach out because I don't know. I don't know if I call it respect or if I just not how I was raised to you know, throw people underneath the bus. But like, listen, I've seen with my own eyes. I've been coached by people in this league who I thought, man, like if you were my college coach, if you were my high school coach, I wouldn't even got to the league. Like I don't understand how you're in a position right now to tell me what to do because you aren't that good, man. Like for instance, Joe Cohen, fantastic. I sing his praises all the time.
Yeah.
I got that dude's back until the end. Now, was he the best to play for in terms of fun? No, absolutely not. Dude should be out nonstop. But I respect Joe Cohen because he was genuine and he loved the game of football. Once again, not going to name out any names, but there were some people that, whether it was a position coach or just a guy that I knew was a different kind of coach, I saw these guys where it was like, oh, you're just collecting a paycheck. Oh, you're just here because you know somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what the NFL is. And I guarantee every NFL team has at least one of those guys. Ask anybody in the locker room. If they're truthful, they'll tell you the truth. Where it's like, you know what? Yeah, my coach, or that coach over there, I don't know, man. Yeah. I mean, I've seen better. Like, I know what good is, right? And good can be anything. Good can be a player's coach where you're joking at practice. Good can be chewing you out and trying to call you up and getting the best out of you. There's a lot of versions of what good in the NFL in terms of coaching looks like. But what shouldn't be tolerated is lackadaisical, is not really caring, is nonchalant, and not getting, you know, the best out of your players, not getting the best out of yourself. And that happens way too much in the league. And any player who's been on multiple teams will definitely tell you that.
Yeah, and by the way, the players can't get you have to be the best of the best to play.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily always have to be the best of the best to coach.
Yeah,
and
that's a great point.
And that's interesting.
It's
right?
wild, yeah.
In a league that is supposed to be the best of the best.
Yeah.
Right? And I think we assume that. Because again, that's a logic ideology. Like that is like not that hard to fathom. That's what we expect.
Yeah.
But to that point, there are brilliant people at Nike and Apple and other places, and then there are people that probably shouldn't be there.
Well,
right?
Yeah, no,
like
absolutely.
even in higher positions, like that aren't as good as this guy or this gal or this whatever.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, like I say it, and I really hesitate to say this like on a microphone, but for this, I think it works because I'm not pointing out to all coaches, but I just told you to break. There's like a saying a few of us have down there, and I've heard this many a times, and we kind of joke about it. But in some instances, it's like really true. Is that what's the difference between like a gym teacher in high school and some of these coaches in the NFL, like positional coaches? And I think what you're telling us is I'm not sure. Yeah. Like at times, that's not a bad analogy. And by the way, that's no disrespect to gym teacher, but my gym teacher necessarily shouldn't coach in the NFL at the highest of levels, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the picture that you paint. And it just seems so absurd that we could get there. Now, how does it happen? I will give you an instance that's run through my mind in this year specifically. Okay?
Yeah.
In a league that is so much attention on it, especially. Now, this wasn't always the case, but especially more recently, so much attention. I mean, it is mind-boggling the cycle of news that passes through the NFL. And I thought this relative especially to Urban Meyer. And please don't take this as a defense of Urban Meyer or anything else, just an acknowledgement of the situation. And it really stuck out to me when I heard the Jimmy Johnson stories when he came from college to the NFL. And I think I've told you this before. You may know this, that Jimmy Johnson, when he went to the Dallas Cowboys, even though they struggled early on, he brought everybody with him from college. He brought his PR guy, he brought his trainer, he brought all his coaches. They all came together.
Yeah.
And what there was this loyalty, right? Mm-hmm. Now, did we know at the time they were good enough to be in the NFL? Probably not. Mm-hmm. But he brought them because he was connected to them. He had connections to them. He thought they would protect the in-house stuff. They knew the program. It was better for everybody. But there was probably a better defensive backs coach or linebacker coach that had more credentials to be with the Dallas Cowboys at the time than that was there, right? Well, now you look at a guy like Urban, and Urban did not do it that way. He did not want to raid from Ohio State or from any past places or people that he had been with. Mm-hmm. Now, he did on occasion. Obviously, Charlie Strong, there was connection there. Chris Ash was another one. But he then pieces together a staff that has some NFL experience, seemingly what you would say is the right way. Interviewed some special teams coaches, offensive coordinators, Joe Cullen, right?
Sure.
But the problem with that sometimes in the NFL is what we saw. There was no loyalty to Urban and the way he does things, and everybody's like, oh, my God, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Right? And, again, this isn't a defense of Urban, but that's how you start seeing leaks and other things like that. And so when you ask, or when I ask, or when you think about why are certain people connected in the NFL, why is there this tree, why are there retreads, why does all these people keep getting opportunities?
Yeah.
Well, I do think that's partially the reason. We have created an engine that is so big called the NFL in the cycle and everything else that you have to trust people, whether they're good at their job or not. I trust that person to be around me. Mm-hmm. And that some places and businesses is a fact of life, and that's included in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great point. I think I do have stories of where guys worked their butts off and were able to take their position that they're at and improve upon that. Like, I'll tell a quick story. When I was in Chicago, and listen, it's not any secret. Chicago wasn't the best place to play football for me personally, right? And when we talk about my time in Chicago, I've voiced displeasure before about just, whatever the defensive line room, it in terms of how it was ran, in terms of how things are done, it wasn't the best. And I've spoke before about this dude by the name of Clint Hurt. Now, for the sake of the story, it doesn't matter the skin color, but this was a black assistant coach. He was an assistant defensive line coach. And when I say assistant, this guy was making photocopies, right? Like, he was down the train. It was his first year as an assistant defensive line coach. He's making all the photocopies. He's getting the game plans together. Doesn't really have a lot of influence in terms of, what he can do. Just he has to follow in line, right? Well, I remember during training camp, we're watching film. And for whatever reason, only the 1s and 2s got their film critiqued by the position coach. Everybody else didn't. So, like, I was taking times with the 2s, but also the 3s, and I would be with the 3s, and we wouldn't watch my film or wouldn't get critiqued. They would blow past it. So while I'm at practice, and I'm doing my thing, trying to bust my ass, trying to make a team, then we go back and watch it. How can I improve? I'm not getting any coaching whatsoever. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and it rubbed a lot of players in that locker room the wrong way. Well, Clint Hurt saw this. And I didn't mention this to him. Nobody mentioned it to him, but he noticed this. And he said, all right, here's what we're going to do. Instead of you guys going back to the dorms after the meeting, come meet with me 10 minutes after our meeting. And I'll sit with you, because this is it's a former defensive line coach at Louisville, so he knows what he's doing. He's like, I'll teach you. He's like, I'll say what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right, and all those guys that aren't getting coached right, come into my room, and we'll do that. Sacrificed his time, we had to sacrifice our time as well, but he cared that much to coach us. And lo and behold, a couple years later, he's in Seattle, assistant head coach and also defensive line coach for the Seahawks, because he earned that right.
That's right.
Because he went above and beyond what was expected of him. From a guy that was supposed to be making photocopies and kind of just sitting in the back room, keeping his mouth shut, saw, you know what, maybe I could help these guys out a little bit and give them their fair shake, and he did. And that paid off. Now, that's just one story.
Yeah.
Those stories don't always happen. I understand that. Sometimes guys work their asses off, and just for whatever reason, they don't know the right people, and they don't get their opportunities. But that was one instance where it was a bright side, where a guy did work hard, and he got his just due. I wish more stories, I think, would be like that. But I think it's more of the latter, where it's like, well, I know this guy, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, man, I mean, we've done it this whole cycle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, aren't we kind of like, and by the way, this is no disrespect. Well, it's ironic that the Giants are brought up in this, but I mean, aren't we doing that with the Giants anyway? Before this Flores situation even comes to light.
Yeah.
Joe Shane from Buffalo. Okay, bring Brian Dable from Buffalo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, that's because we are programmed to think that's the way the world works. We had a segment, I think it was late last week. I was like, is everything got to be a package deal? Right? I mean, does it work that way? I mean, it's one thing to have familiarity, but it's another thing to say you're the best guy for the job. Like, I actually spun it a little bit different. Like, Joe Shane might realize that, hey, Brian Dable's pretty damn good, but he might not be great as a head coach because he's been around him for a long time, right? Yep. He might have the expertise to be able to acknowledge that. Or he's just buddy-buddy with him, or he thinks he's the most qualified guy. I mean, there's 3 different ways to look at it. I don't know which one. Yeah. You hope that he thought he was the most qualified guy, and there's certainly writing on the wall that says he's the most qualified guy. But they obviously went around this process not the right way. And by the way, this is on Joe Shane and the Giants for the way they handled this. You know, this comes on the heels of the Jaguars in a totally different respect, but obviously botching this search to some degree, if not to some high degree, and O'Connell not being able to interview for another 2 weeks, Valentine's Day, even if they want him or don't want him, they can't even get him until then because the way they handle that.
Yeah.
So it also shows you that even this is a billion-dollar business. These guys appear to be qualified for these jobs, and they still screw up the most basic of details. Yeah. And in the meantime, they still don't go get the people that probably have earned or worked for or the opportunity. Listen, I can't tell you that every black candidate that would be possibly up to be head coach is going to be a great head coach. I have no idea.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I just don't know. Like Eric Bieniemy, I know he's been through a lot of cycles. I don't know why he's not a head coach, but I also can't tell you that I guarantee you that he'd be a great head coach, right? We can't do that about anybody. We can't do that about Byron Leftwich. We can't do that. The only thing I can do that a little bit about Doug Peterson, I know he won a Super Bowl. He happens to be a white guy, but he won a Super Bowl. I think I can tell you what I expect out of Jim Caldwell because he's been at a couple of stops and I've seen his resume. But any of these first-time guys, opportunities, personnel, or coaching, it's really hard to tell. That's white or black, but you're taking a chance. And it is really stunning to look at the job that a guy like Tomlin has done in Pittsburgh. Right? And we've talked about this. Who would you model your organization after if you could take the blueprint? Well, so many people have said Pittsburgh because they've had 3 coaches in however many years. And that continuity is terrific. And we know that's terrific. It's good for players. It's good for your organization. It's good for everything around it. And Tomlin has been the leader of that for the last 15 some odd years. Right? And we have seen how he's handled situations, handled locker rooms. He's incredibly respected in both forms.
Yeah.
He's successful. And yet 31 other owners around the league have not tried the model of not all the time, some have.
Yeah.
But that model of hiring a black coach that, by the way, might relate to the locker room. May be better than a white coach, quite frankly.
Without a doubt.
Not that that's guaranteed. I'm not saying a white man can't relate to black players or a locker room that is 70% black. But
let's be honest here, Brent. Guys are hiring young NFL coaches now predominantly because why? They can relate to the players a little more.
Yes, it.
Right? Well, yeah, and I agree with you. I think, like, in terms of a black head coach, if that head coach looks more like the players in that locker room, of course, I think you can be able to relate to that guy a little more.
Yeah.
How could he not? Before we go to Brett, I want to ask you one thing. So, obviously, with the NFL, I mean, it's too big to fail. You get the sense, right? Like, I remember the whole Kaepernick thing, people saying, I'm done watching football.
Yeah.
You know,
the ratings have never been higher.
Never been higher. And we'll see how it's still in its infancy right now. How much of a black eye is this going to be for the NFL going forward, do you think?
Let me think about it.
Yeah.
Let me think about it. I don't want to just shout something, but it's a good question. We'll be back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690. A cool night tonight under mostly clear skies with some fog later on. We'll drop into the 40s. Warming trend continues tomorrow with plenty of sun. Your Wednesday high 70 to 75. From the CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center, I'm TV meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Get the guaranteed lowest price at the only locally owned diamond store in the St. John's Town Center.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7 with supplies and solutions for every industry and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Well, the holidays are behind us, and that means nothing but open road ahead. So make every mile this new year the best it can be in a new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. Camry, Corolla, RAV4, Tundra, Tacoma. Arlington Toyota's got 500 new Toyotas available and ready for wherever you want to go in 2022. Plus, every new car purchase from Arlington Toyota comes with a lifetime warranty and Arlington's 30-day exchange program. Where will your new Toyota take you in 2022? Find out and shop arlingtontoyota.com today.
If you're experiencing domestic violence, it is not your fault. Hubbard House is here for you. You are not alone. Hubbard House provides free services and emergency shelter to survivors of domestic violence in Duval and Baker counties. Call 904-354-3114 anytime, 24/7 to confidentially speak to a caring advocate.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It's that time of year when folks everywhere scratch their heads and wonder, what can I get my love for Valentine's Day? You know what your darling really wants from you to make them feel special? Finally updating the chipped and faded paint on your house. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary permanent ceramic coating that's a superior alternative to paint and vinyl siding.
Rhino Shield is perfect for stucco, brick, vinyl, coquina exteriors, and it's the ideal solution for any residential or commercial buildings.
It comes with a 25-year warranty,
so you'll never have to paint again.
Hurry, book now and take advantage of our special Valentine's Day sale and save up to 25%, but you'll have to call today.
Visit us at rhinoshieldjax.com or call 904-519-5055.
Today on Hey Culligan Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener, here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Hola, Carla speaking.
Carla's roofing company always goes above and beyond.
Yeah, we heard about next week's forecast.
She needs a new foreman to weather a storm of projects.
You mean another full crew before Wednesday? Mira, Jose, can you work Wednesday?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
We all know the soothing scent of Vicks Vapo Rub, the comforting scent families everywhere have come to trust. Whether you had a pesky cough and couldn't go to sleep, or you just needed a loving touch of care to help you feel better, Vicks Vapo Rub has always been there. It always made you feel better, and today, it still does. Reach for Vicks Vapo Rub and wrap yourself with the calm and soothing relief only Vicks Vapo Rub can bring. Vicks Vapo Rub, trusted soothing vapors, always there for you.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations, so you get the product you're looking for. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The COVID-19 vaccine, there's so much news about it, but what's true and what's not?
Before you pass on its protection, get all the facts. Elder Source can help with a free workshop given at your church or organization. Learn how the vaccine works, potential side effects, and where you can get a free one. Encourage your church or organization's leadership to book a free workshop by visiting myeldersource.org/COVID.
Florida children are eligible for head-to-toe coverage through the Florida Kid Care Program, which is high-quality, affordable health and dental coverage with cost as low as $15 a month. To assist families applying for Florida Kid Care or Medicaid and increase enrollment in the Florida Kid Care Program, the Players Center for Child Health with Wolfson Children's Hospital offers free application assistance. For appointments, call 904-202-WELL. That's 904-202-9355. Habla Español.
For survivors of domestic violence in Duval and Baker counties, Hubbard House provides free, confidential emergency shelter and services. Call our 24-hour hotline at 904-354-3114.
Hey everybody, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jax. There's a good chance you have a smart speaker, so use it with ESPN 690. Stay up to date on the Jags and all things sports by telling Alexa or Google to play ESPN 690. It's as easy as that. Make sure you listen weekdays 3 until 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
I thought we really stood a good chance. I mean, we started off like gangbusters, even in this game, and we just let it get away from us. So, and I take responsibility for that part, Adam. So, you can always, as a play caller, you go back and you evaluate things. And so you look at, are you putting your guys in the best position possible? I know Spags, EB, Dave Tobe, they all go through that. And you want to make sure that you give your guys the best opportunity.
That's Andy Reid.
It's Andy Reid.
Yeah. Sad Andy Reid, it sounded like a little bit.
Sad Andy Reid.
Yeah.
So it's cheeseburgers for Andy Reid. It's ice cream for Doug Peterson, right?
Yeah, I've told that story, man.
Literally,
I know,
but I got it confused because I thought it was even ice cream for Andy Reid.
Oh, no, it was always cheeseburgers.
Doug Peterson, it's the ice cream.
It's the ice cream.
I saw a clip yesterday where he says like ice cream after every meeting. Got ice cream, got ice cream, got ice cream.
Literally took the whole flow from Andy Reid and just changed burgers to ice cream. Oh, yeah. It's great, though. I love it.
What else should you change to? What's next? Like if I were to adopt that.
In terms of getting a snack, you mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, man.
I mean, you can't use Skittles. That's Marshawn Lynch.
Cookie. You can go cookies. But, I mean, cookie.
You know what? If I was going to go cookies, right? You go those. What are the name of those cookies? Sometimes they have it like the hotels. Like when you check
Doubletree?
in, and they
the chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, they're chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah,
but if they're fresh out of the oven, they're fantastic.
Well, that's like a Doubletree hotel. You get those.
I know, but there's a brand for them.
Okay,
come on, somebody knows.
I can help you. Casey, you a big cookie guy?
But like when they're hot coming out of that. Like they make them, and they'll have them sometimes at some of these hotels. I don't know which ones. I think it is the Doubletree. I think you're right.
It's the Doubletree.
But I forget the name of the cookie right now. The brand. It's like red. There's a red.
It's not like
label.
Famous Amos, right? I mean, we're talking like quality cookies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like these aren't in packages, man. They're like in that little thing like that you have to open up and you
like the Pillsbury?
use the tongs to come out.
Oh, no.
Kind of Pillsbury-esque, but not Pillsbury.
Okay.
Somebody.
I mean, could we get it in a grocery store?
I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know where you're going with this. Okay. Pepperidge Farm? No, that's not. Okay, whatever.
Listen, somebody's going to let us know because they know what we're talking about. You know what we're talking about. We just can't find Otis Spunkmeyer. Is that it?
Otis Spunkmeyer? Was he a former basketball player?
Yeah, he played,
Otis Spunkmeyer
played for Hoosiers.
What? Hey, I'll be honest. I've never heard of Otis Spunkmeyer cookies.
Listen, you may not have heard of them.
Okay,
but you probably had them then. I'm not sure if that is correct.
I haven't seen an Otis Spunkmeyer cookie commercial either.
No, you're not going to see these. Like I said, I don't think you can get them. Like they're not necessarily like in the. You're not going to buy them off the shelf. Somebody's Otis Spunkmeyer might be it.
I feel like we're getting trolled.
Like there's a chance it's Otis Spunkmeyer. It's not ringing a bell though. Oh, by the way, just a little off topic. Since we already are. But chocolate chip cookies would be cool. Like chocolate chip cookie if I'm an NFL player.
Yeah.
Hey, we got fresh baked chocolate chip cookies after this meeting.
Well, I mean,
that'd be good for me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they had cookies for because the ice cream. They have cookies next to the ice cream in the hotel,
they did?
Which is it's such a wild thing. We're primed professional athletes, and you're gonna fill us up with ice cream and cookies before the game.
I know it.
It's wild.
It is a wild thing.
But whatever works, man.
I don't think it's Mrs. Fields, by the way. Somebody said Mrs. Fields, but I don't think that's it because I think those come wrapped. And so these are not wrapped. Like these are almost like the cookie dough you get. You put it in the oven, you bake them, and boom, they come out. And for the next 15 minutes, it's the greatest thing you ever ate.
I don't know, man.
But Otis Spunkmeyer, it might be it.
I'm telling you, he was a basketball player, and that's not a cookie.
Hey, one last. Daniel Day-Lewis, fantastic, by the way. I finished.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah.
Oh, everybody gather around.
There Will Be Blood. It was fantastic.
You liked it?
Yeah, it was good.
Wild, isn't it?
It was pretty wild.
I mean, for not the most action per se.
No, it's a slow-going movie, but
it
one
commands the room.
I was like, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And I was thinking this a little bit because you guys were both astonished that I had started the movie and didn't finish it. I lost nothing in doing that.
Yeah, but
I lost nothing.
It takes you out of the element, though. You know, because I'm sure you're probably texting to him, reading up on Trent Baalke and stuff, so you're not even paying attention to the greatness that is Daniel Day-Lewis.
No, last night I pretty much locked. That's what I was afraid. I couldn't do that for a 2-hour and 40-minute stretch, so I had to break it up.
I got you.
But I did. I was locked in, and I finished it, and it was good, and he was fantastic.
Told you, man.
And I was just waiting because you kept bringing up the preacher. I'm like, how's this thing going to end?
Right.
And it actually does have a lot of, what was the one I saw that recently?
Oh, No Country for Old Men.
No,
don't worry. I'm going to tell you what you all seen. I got you.
But it's very similar in nature in the sense that, like, a lot of things could happen.
Sure.
At the end.
Yeah.
And you're like, you still have to, like, go back. Okay, did I just see what I just saw? Did I understand it the way I understood it?
Yeah.
Like, I think it asks me that.
No, you're absolutely right. And, like, what those movies do such a great job of is that there really is no, like, I mean, there's villains in No Country for Old Men, but there's really no villain and hero in There Will Be Blood.
That's true.
There's just a bad person and kind of a bad person as well.
We're trained to wait for that.
Yes.
And that's what happened in No Country for Old Men.
Yes.
Is the villain essentially.
Yep. Spoiler. Oh, I mean, it's been 10, 12 years.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it by now, then
that's on
tough.
you. Yeah.
And this one, you're right. I don't know. Like, I didn't know if I was supposed to love Daniel Day-Lewis or not, or I was just loving his acting job.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Going into it.
Yes.
And the preacher looked a little sketchy the whole time, to be quite honest.
Of course. He was very unsettling.
Yeah.
And by the way, so that preacher is going to be in the new Batman movie. He's going to be the Riddler.
That's Dano?
Yeah, that's Paul Dano.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
glad you liked it. I'm proud of you, Brent.
Yeah. Listen.
We're starting to get you there now.
How old is that movie? There Will Be Blood?
That's got to be like 2009, 10, I would say.
So what has Daniel Day-Lewis done something big since then?
Oh, Gangs in New York.
So Gangs in New York.
Yes. Him, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
You haven't seen that one?
2007.
Was There Will Be Blood?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Have we seen Gangs of New York?
Of course,
Casey?
Brent. Bill the Butcher, man.
There you go.
Bill the Butcher.
Ah.
I would say I like There Will Be Blood better, but Leonardo DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis, you can't go wrong with that one either.
All right. We'll check it out.
Yeah. Now, it's violent, so, okay. All right.
Yeah, I can handle the violence.
Okay.
I mean, I just watched a guy get hit with a bowling pin to end the last movie I saw. All right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, it was like the 1900s version, early 1900s version of like Goodfellas.
True. Very true.
For a moment.
Gangs in New York came out before There Will Be Blood.
Oh, did it really?
2002.
Oh, wow. I know it was that old a movie. I stand corrected then, Brent.
So if you're looking for the new stuff, you're mostly looking for Lincoln.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I'll be honest.
That's the only newer one there is.
No, well, he did the seamstress one or whatever. Not the seam. It's something. It's his last movie he did. Sorry.
Delphonic says, remember when Brent said Austin would never guess the movie you watching? It was Old Country for Old Men. Yeah, that was just last week, Delphonic, all right? Go back and make another meme or GIF or something.
Hey, Brent literally comes out, guys, I'll be honest with you. I saw this low budget indie movie. You guys probably never heard of it before. Now there's some guys probably never heard of, but it's called No Country for Old Men. You might want to check it out. Oh, really, Brent? You mean like the best Oscar nominee? Whatever. Okay.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
I watched that movie.
Yep.
And then I watched this movie.
Yep.
And I can't believe I was like, if I watch those two movies and then you give me like 5 other ones, right?
Yeah.
And then I had to put it in a bucket and say, this is something Austin likes. This is something Casey likes. This is something X person, whoever likes.
Yeah.
I would not have put either movie in your bucket.
In my bucket?
No.
Are you serious?
No.
You don't think There Will Be Blood is in my bucket? Brent, you don't even know
I would
me,
think
huh?
like by the time, like the first 40 minutes of like both movies are so slow going that I was like, he's checked out.
Oh, Brent, man. I guess you don't know me, huh?
I don't. I'm learning more about you.
Dude, I mean, just the especially There Will Be Blood, just the power and just the greed of it. I mean, how can I not like that?
I know it.
Man, I'm disappointed in you.
Listen, we're still learning about each other.
I mean, we've been working together for like 3 years now. I feel like you should know my movies.
Commercial breaks only have so much time.
And by the way, he's in Last Mohicans as well. Have you seen that one?
No.
Old school movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, wait a minute. I think I did. Isn't
You've
that
seen
super
Last
long?
Mohicans? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, big time long.
I'm talking like 3 or 4 hours. Like, remember back in the VHS
when
you had to get
like
like
the Last
2
Mohicans?
VHS?
I might have watched just. I was thinking of the
Dances
long
with
movie
Wolves?
Dances with Wolves.
Dances with Wolves. That's a good one, too.
And that was Costner.
Kevin Costner, yeah. Yep.
Gosh, how old is Last Mohicans? Like in the 90s?
Last Mohicans was 92.
Oof.
Yep.
Gosh, I was just a young lad. The one other thing about that movie, There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
The best part of that.
Okay.
Right, is where you really see like a character flip, in my opinion.
Yep, go ahead.
Is when the explosion of the oil, right?
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, HW is back there losing his hearing.
Yeah.
And Daniel Day-Lewis is like, look how rich we're going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is not going the way I thought it was going to go.
Sacrifices, man. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Hey, you got to be extremely selfish if you want to be
not
great.
The best
I've always
dad
said
out
it.
there, you know? Not the best dad out there.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You asked the question, how much of a black eye will this be for the league?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to be real about this.
Yeah.
I guess the simple answer is, it'll be a major black eye. It's going to be a big story at one of the biggest times of the year. It's going to be, you have to disprove it. And are you willing to disprove it? And can you disprove it? And now all teams are involved, which means every market in the country that has an NFL team and beyond are asking these questions, which means we might have 32 statements from NFL teams and a Roger Goodell statement at some point. So I think the answer is a pretty big black eye. And I say that on the heels of what I said earlier. Right now, it's a bad view for the NFL if no African-American coach gets hired when there are 9 jobs available and at least 6 African-American coaches were candidates for positions.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think even the Leftwich stuff, how close it was, how true it was, is still to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
But the optics were he was about to get the job and then he didn't. Like, that's odd.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying the Jags did anything wrong, but I'm just saying throw this all together. And I think the view of it is not pretty and not good. And so I think it exists. It doesn't. I think you could have had 4 minority coaches hired in this cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You name them.
Mm-hmm.
From Jim Caldwell to Byron Leftwich to Brian Flores again, to Eric Bieniemy, out of 9 jobs. And I'm not saying this goes away, Austin, but it certainly heads in a direction that's different. You say you have 4 out of the 9 that are minority hires.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have 6 to 7 different guys being interviewed for the jobs. And now you have 2 or 3 minority GMs getting the jobs. If an Adrian Wilson gets hired or something, right? And so now you had a chance in this cycle to really turn this story forward. I'm not saying squash it. It shouldn't be a squash subject, but turn it forward. Instead, you get just the opposite. You get this backlash. But while it will be a black eye, I will say this about black eyes. And you've had them because you fight. They go away.
True.
And the NFL is king.
True.
And we love our football.
True.
White, black, women, men, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. We like to gamble. We like fantasy football. I don't think people are just not going to watch the Super Bowl in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just being real with you that the problem is ongoing. The problem will continue. The problem will be discussed. And the NFL will try to do things that look like they're trying to get progress going in the right spot. But I just don't know if the product is going to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the only way we see that is this enormous support for what Flores is saying.
Yeah.
I think. And so, I think it's a black eye, and it might be a big one. but even big black eyes go away.
It's a great point, man. It's a great point. You know, to me, it all depends on our coaches, present or former, going to come forward and support him. If he starts getting support, then I think it's going to have a lasting effect forever in the NFL. I think even the black eye, you know, if nothing comes from it, if more black coaches get an honest, fair opportunity and get hired, well, then progress is made. But I feel like something bigger could be happening if more people start to go along with Brian Flores. I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not. Well, we'll see.
And by the way, I think I know the bigger story. Like, I think it's, but is it up for debate? What is the bigger story? The hiring process of African-American and minority coaches, or an owner saying, I'll give you $100,000 to lose?
There's that too.
Because I will tell you this, the hiring of minority coaches can be a fixed issue, can be solved. You can't get back the integrity of the game that you potentially lose from an owner doing that. The only thing you can do is say, owner, you're out of here. And by the way, that is a very difficult thing to do. A very, very, I know it seems like, yeah, just fire the owner and rule. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And so, like, I understand what the bigger issue should be and is, but I wouldn't sleep on the $100,000 a game issue either.
No, for sure.
Because that may be just as big a problem in the immediate for the NFL.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
For the second season in a row, ESPN 690 is proud to be the official station of the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Starting in April, hear all Jumbo Shrimp games on ESPN 690, ESPN690.com, and our Facebook page, ESPN 690 Jax. No matter what happens with Major League Baseball, the Jumbo Shrimp season will start on April 5th. So if you can't make it out to the ballpark, we will have every game all season long right here on ESPN 690.
At Morgan & Morgan, the fee is free. You don't pay us anything unless we win your case.
Smoke for hours, served in minutes. Now that sounds like good barbecue. And it is at Willie Jewell's Old School Barbecue. Open 7 days a week. Try the smoked wings, southern sides, and big old platters. Trivia night and kids eat free specials during the week. Check out the Willie Jewell's app and catering for all events. Order online and skip the line. Visit williejewells.com to see other locations in Florida and Georgia. Yulee to St. Augustine, Brunswick, and Kingsland. Willie Jewell's Old School Barbecue. Smoke for hours, served in minutes at Willie Jewell's.
Hi, I'm Phil Ward, President and CEO of Community Hospice and Palliative Care. We are so grateful to the players for its long-standing support of our organization, especially Community Peds Care. It's 35 days until the players.
Start your new year in a like-new car from the pre-owned experts at Arlington Toyota. Arlington Pre-Owned has over 300 used available. All makes, all models. Some even same model year. You've got to see it. And when it comes to buying with confidence, just leave it to my friends at Arlington. Their 30-day exchange program comes with your purchase. That's 30 days to love your pre-owned purchase or exchange it. Add some major excitement to your new year and an amazing new ride from Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online anytime at ArlingtonToyota.com.
Hey, does your car still only play CDs? No Bluetooth? No CarPlay? You've got an old car, my friend. You know what's better than an old car? A less old car. Get a car or truck that's new to you with a great used car loan from 1-to-1 Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. Get pre-approved for a loan and shop at any dealership in town. Get a low rate and get rid of that old car today. Apply online at 1to1fcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hello, this is the Crooks Are Us Tips line with an urgent announcement regarding Safe Touch security.
As a crook, by now you surely know the Crooks Are Us golden rule: stay away from Safe Touch houses.
But we just received word that may not be enough now.
Wait till you hear this.
Credible reports have surfaced that Safe Touch security cameras captured one of our associates in the act of breaking into a house. Only the camera was from a neighbor's house across the street.
That is so not fair.
And what this means is it's not enough to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Now we gotta stay way away from Safe Touch houses.
Boss, does that mean we gotta change the Crooks Are Us golden rule?
No, just remember the sentiment.
Stay away from Safe Touch houses.
Correct. Be safe, fellow crooks. Safe Touch is everywhere. Receive free equipment and free installation with monitoring agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Call 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
And we're back with Limu, Emu, and Doug for the final question. Category is things you climb.
All right, Limu, what do you think? You sure? We're going with Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Oh, so close. We were looking for stairs.
Huh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
70% of the Fortune 100 choose Zoom. With phone, chat, workspaces, apps, events, and video in a single platform, Zoom powers all your communications. Large enterprises, small businesses, and individuals use the secure Zoom platform to enable new ways of working, learning, hosting events, and supporting their customers. And now you can save 15% on meetings, chat, and phone with a Zoom United bundle. Visit zoom.com/bundle. Zoom, how the world connects.
Sure, we have 30 seconds to tell you that drivers who switch to Progressive could save big. But then what? Well, radio has been called theater of the mind, so let's tell a story with sound effects. Wow, it's like I was in the story. Almost makes me forget this was supposed to be about saving big with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
It's that time of year when folks everywhere scratch their heads and wonder, what can I get my love for Valentine's Day? You know what your darling really wants from you to make them feel special? Finally updating the chipped and faded paint on your house. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary permanent ceramic coating that's a superior alternative to paint and vinyl siding. It comes with a 25-year warranty,
so you'll never have to paint again. Call Rhino Shield today.
The NFL is on. Key, Jay, and now Max Kellerman.
Here's a guy that you drafted in the first round that you think could potentially be the successor to Aaron Rodgers in the future, but could he at least be a damn backup?
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
This is going to be interesting to see the effects that this lawsuit has on the hiring process. And clearly, Brian Flores had to think of all the fallout that would come with filing a bombshell lawsuit like this against the National Football League. Now, the National Football League has wanted Brian Flores to be hired as a head coach. At least we thought so prior to this lawsuit. But after something like this, when he's suing the league and all the teams in the lawsuit, clearly you would think, I'm not a legal expert, that would jeopardize his chances at getting one of these jobs. But he had to know just what he was doing before he filed that lawsuit.
I've been talking a lot about it, the Brian Flores lawsuit. That's a big one today in the NFL, no doubt about it. I want to update you on the Jags latest as well. And I have a question. Does this halt the Jaguars in any way? Is the NFL collecting itself right now? And is business going on as usual? Before we do that, though, how about the Swoop Minute, UNFOspreys.com, the place to go for the latest in UNF Ospreys athletics, and that includes men's golf. Today, Nick Gabrocek claimed his fourth individual win of his career. Back-to-back titles now at the Seabest Invitational as North Florida had a third-place finish at TPC Sawgrass in Ponte Vedra, of course. I got to tell you this now. Gabrocek, we were talking to Scott Schroeder, the golf coach, the other day when we were over there.
Yeah.
And this is the kid he was raving about.
I remember he said that.
And he said he's going to be a PGA Tour player someday. Yeah. He's got some special stuff, and he plays golf for the Ospreys, and he was terrific. I know at one time today he had 6 birdies and no bogeys through like 15 holes, and a tremendous player. Nick Gabrocek for the Ospreys. Go read more about him. UNFOspreys.com. Men's and women's basketball on the road this week, but they'll return home for some action in a couple weeks, and you can find out where you can get tickets. Also, baseball, softball starting up as well on campus. UNFOspreys.com. That is your Swoop Minute. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Casey Kurtz. All right, all this news with Flores. Obviously, Tom Brady was one of the stories of the day. In fact, before I get to this, let me go quick. Tom Brady, I asked you this way back, and then we got the Flores news came in.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, preparing for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Any different than any other guy? I figure Peyton Manning and Brady would be kind of in their own league when you played.
Definitely in their own league. You just knew going against Tom Brady is going to be a frustrating day because there's nothing more frustrating as an edge rusher when you have like that money rush, right, where you beat your guy, it's like hitting a home run, like, oh, this is it. I'm getting to Tom Brady. And then all of a sudden the ball's out. And that's what Tom Brady was so great of doing, was getting the ball out in like 2 seconds, where you literally had no chance of trying to get a hold of him. And that's what I remember most about, I mean, obviously being the GOAT, number one, but number two is just how frustrating it was to play against the Patriots because they were so good at stymieing defensive lines.
Yeah, and by the way, if you go all the way back to right before I got here in 2007, before you got here and played for the Jaguars, that was the thing. I think he went 26 for 28 in that playoff game against the Jags, and part of their offense, part of their system that they created was get that ball out quick and get it out in a hurry. Of course, he's not going to run away from you, but he knew when to get out, knew where he was going. He had mastered the offense, especially the last 10 to 12 to 15 years of his career. It was a beautiful illustration of a guy mastering a system, in my opinion. Yeah. And I tell people this because this has come up a lot now that Trevor Lawrence is going to have another offensive coordinator. Now that others, we talk about Alex Smith and all the different coordinators he has, and now you look at success, Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow, they've been together a couple years, right? Well, Tom Brady, I think the story is in 22 years, if I'm not mistaken, he had 3 different coordinators.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Mm-hmm. I think I'm right on that. I think that's Weiss. I think it was O'Brien. And I think it was McDaniels. Maybe somebody else in there, but I'm pretty sure it's Weiss, McDaniels, and O'Brien. So maybe that's the biggest lesson out there. Find the right guy for your quarterback and for Trevor Lawrence, because I'm not telling you you're going to be the greatest of all time, but it's certainly a recipe for success.
You're not wrong.
And I think we lose sight of that. I think we often lose sight of that, and that's why the staff is so important on who you hire and keep some continuity around here in Jacksonville. So that brings us back to the Jags. And Rick Spielman, former GM in Minnesota, he's the name of the day, the flavor of the day, the wrinkle in the whatever plan this is. I wouldn't call it a plan here in Jacksonville, looking for the next head coach, GM, executive vice president. Like, we really don't have much context of how Spielman could fit in, other than that him and Peterson certainly could be a joint venture, and Bulky somewhere is hiding in the middle of all that, whether he's here or not. Spielman, the news of the day, Peterson interview apparently taking place today.
Yeah, I think if you're Shad Khan, you have to let history be your teacher here, right? And you can't make the same mistakes twice. I think in terms of bringing Spielman in, I think he's got a great football mind. I think he's got a great mind in evaluating talent, and I think he would be an integral part of the Jaguars going forward. But you want to see him in a role that is going to be beneficial to this team. I think that's the GM role. I think if you bring him in some sort of EVP, and then you still have Trent Baalke as GM and Doug Peterson as a head coach, that to me, that's risky. To me, that's an unneeded risk that you're taking right now, because we've seen how the story played out with, Doug Marrone, with Tom Coughlin, with Dave Caldwell. I don't want to repeat history. We mentioned it many times before. You got to make the clean sweep, start anew, and I think if you bring him in, then let him be the GM.
Let me ask you guys this real quick, okay, to end the show today. And I know this isn't ideal, okay, so just to get in the context of the question, because if it's Spielman, Baalke stays in some capacity, and Peterson, how are people reacting to that?
How are people reacting?
How are the fans reacting? Like, how is that like, hey,
there's going to be disappointment.
Fine. We thought we were Shad's an idiot. I can't believe he's keeping Baalke, but at least there's Spielman and Peterson involved. Or I can't believe Balky's involved. Forget this team.
I mean, I'm going to be nervous because, once again, I don't want to see a repeat. And I think, Tom Coughlin, Doug Marrone, Dave Caldwell are still pretty fresh in people's minds of how much of a mess that was. I think people will be okay with Doug Peterson, but they'll be turned off to the idea of still having Trent Baalke.
They would react poorly.
Yeah. Just if Baalke's in the mix, Shad's going to get a lot of criticism. Hope he's ready for that. The NFL did release a statement, by the way, on the Brian Flores suit. Our clubs are deeply committed to ensuring equitable employment practices and continue to make progress in providing equitable opportunities throughout our organizations. Diversity is core to everything we do. There are a few issues on which our clubs and our internal leadership needs teams spend more time. We'll defend against these claims, which are without merit, the NFL says about the Brian Flores suit. Right. So here we go.
Yep.
Round one, at least, NFL and Brian Flores. We'll see you on TV tonight, CBS 47, Fox 30. Back at it tomorrow. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. What's the next shoe to drop? Not only in the NFL, but with the Jags coaching search. Have a good night, everybody.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Got a party of 10 coming in. We need to flip those 2 tables.